Stuff again. There's the two links, the long and the short, the redirect. We'll see if that gives us something to share with the world. Could be your phone too. I have literally seen that be the problem. And if that doesn't work, put your email up. I'll just direct link you. Because I know that works. I'll have to Dave's Nanotanks to give me a refresher course on doing this because theirs always seem to work. So I'm not blocking the Hangout in some crazy way or something, am I? No, doesn't seem to be. Keep saying I'm off air. All right, give me your email. I'll just do it direct. And that'll take 2 seconds to do. So I was going to try and do it before like that, and I don't, blah, blah, blah. And the app's still not working on a reset. Yeah, give me your email. I'll just direct link you. That has to work. And if it still says off air, then it has nothing to do with that. Yeah, there's something up with that end. We'll just remove the address in a moment after I copy it. Oh, yeah, I can do that too. Here. Because mine's public knowledge, by the way, with my channel. So I have filters, lots of filters. Once you got that copied, let me know and I'll remove it. All right. Shoot me an email. I'll shoot you one right back. Open up Gmail. I've noticed Gmail been hanky lately too, especially coming from Hotmail. I had a problem with Lisa's email for a bit. But yeah, definitely, what it is. There you are. There you are. Real man of genius. Yeah, hang up. There you go. See if that brings you in. It should. I get rid of that redirect. Because what might not work for you will probably work for someone we don't want it to.
Yeah, it finally worked.
Yeah,
Shit.
that's what it is. What a load of.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy, eh?
That's a load of shit, is right. If you wanted to say that or not.
Yeah, it's like,
Holy cow. I tried even direct calling you because I have you still on the Hangouts
yeah.
from the last, what was it, a couple days back that we were just talking in the middle of the night and it didn't work. And I was like, because it rang once on my side, and then after that, I got quiet. I'm like, did it ring on his side? So I had to ask. I was like, did you
Well,
guys
I was off getting a
ring?
coffee, so it's very possible that worked. But I've seen that not work too. So, no, I had a. I finished up my move for the family member, and the reef guy, my local fish guy, stayed open an extra half hour for me. Went up, picked up the livestock, went back, finished the move. By the time I got the fish home, they were in the bag, give or take 4 hours. And I'm like,
wow.
okay. And I broke down big time today. God, I'm so weak. So I got a Bengay cardinal. I got a blue tuxedo urchin who's no bigger than the end of my thumb. Montipora ceratosa, right? And a gold mushroom for the wife. And
Nice.
I'm sitting there, okay. And I got it all for like less than $100, which is not bad for four pieces, four pieces of livestock. So I put them into the tank to temp acclimate. We ate, and I was so exhausted from driving. When you figure I probably did over 1,000 miles in the last 24 hours.
Yeah,
driving.
you were telling us that the other night. I was like,
and I'm just like, when you add, yeah, exactly. When you add that up over the last few weeks, holy crap, right? Like, just wow, I haven't done that much driving since I was in a band, right? And when I fell asleep is what happened. So they were in the bag, still closed, but temp acclimating for another almost 4 hours.
Wow.
I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to quick and dirty this one, right? Because he's still alive. The Bengay's in there still swimming, and the urchin's still crawling around, So I'm like, okay, we're good. They're alive. So I got to do this quick, right? So, one of the things I try and tell people, there's techniques you learn that you should use in certain situations only. Don't do this all the time, right? And I pinch off the bag so there's like an inch of water, right? Dump the rest out because it's all full of ammonia now anyway, and the pH is just going to skyrocket.
It's going to pop. Yeah, it's going to pop off.
Right? So it's like, okay, you got ick. No, Jeff, no. In a 175 and you got ick. Okay.
All the fish or just one showing?
Yeah, who do you see it on? Or do you see it on everybody? Yeah, I guess is a better way to think of it.
Right.
Shit. The bane of my existence for the first year of my hobby. Yeah. Everyone says, why you put your fish in now without quarantine? Well, my local fish store guy holds on to my fish for a month. Your Desjardins and your yellow. Yeah. Of course, tangs with ick. Go figure. All you can, okay. Jeff, you know this hobby. You got a tank that big. You've been doing this for a little while, right? If I recall. Thought you said you've had a few years in. Oh, look at that.
Sorry, I have a.
Sounds like an ambulance in the background. Yeah, someone's having a bad night.
Yeah, let me just mute that. Sorry about that, guys.
They were quarantined. I don't know. Well, yeah, see, here's the bitch about ick, right? The real rub with tangs, especially, it seems to be, just, and I don't claim to be a pro here, but I guess because I dealt with ick so much that it just became, I kind of really got good at it. They seem to be able to go into your quarantine, and if you don't do anything to them, somehow stay healthy enough but it makes no sense. Okay, trust me, this is where it's going to kind of get weird. They almost seem to be able to hide the parasite because they have such large gills most of the time. You don't see the white spot, so they have it, and they go through it for the 3 or 4 weeks you quarantine. Like most of the time, I tell people you got to quarantine for like 2 months if you wanted to really do it right, without doing copper right away. That's the length of time you're talking. You have to really put that fish through the ringer, like put a mirror up to the side, stress that fish to get it to show up. So that's what it is. So just in my, what's the word I'm looking, anecdotal, evidence, it just seems to be that if you don't stress the fish in quarantine, it doesn't show up, especially tanks. So, and I don't want to stress my fish out, but guess what? If you want to make sure they don't have something, you got to kind of push them. Or conversely, do what I used to do, which is I'm going to hit them with copper for 2 weeks anyway. Right? Better to do 2 weeks in quarantine than have to go pull all the fish out and then do it when they're now in a bad way that you've got to do it, right? I actually never lost a fish in quarantine. I had a jumper, but I never lost a fish to it. Oh, that's a lie. I lied. I forgot that coral angelfish don't do very well. They're worse than tangs for it. And I killed a coral beauty once because I took it right up to 0.22 for the copper, and yeah. Well, okay. Do you have the option to put the fish back in quarantine? Because the problem with it is this. You don't have a big enough system to pull like what Rico talks about, which is like, well, look, my tank, it does. It's you just managed to outrun the parasite. If you have enough water volume, it's very likely you could. But I don't think 120s to 200 gallon tanks really have that kind of turnover to kind of escape it. You'd have to tear it down. If you wanted to be 100% sure you don't have ick, that's the way to do it. You could try, what's that one, Bubba, Cordon Ick Attack? I think you supposedly is reef safe, but more just support the fish. Just keep an eye on them. Keep them well fed. I don't know, Bubba. You got any recommendations? All mine are heartbreaking.
It's because I haven't ran into too much ick problems other than in the LFS. I haven't, like my own tanks haven't had them where I had a bunch of coral. Yeah. So I don't know. How much coral does he have in his tank?
Oh, I should have mentioned this. Did you recently add any corals, Jeff?
Yeah, they can come on anything. Coral, snail, anything.
Yeah, everybody thinks they associate ick with fish, but you could add new, cleanup crew, and it can be insisted on their shell.
Yep. And inverts and tiger conchs and all that stuff can have it.
Velvet's a bastard. Velvet, Brooklinella, clownfish disease, and velvet are probably the two worst of the bunch. I mean, they're not flukes. Flukes can kill a tang in days. I've seen it. Actually, I've seen flukes kill a tang in hours.
Brook and velvet, I mean, it's just like boom.
Boom. And if you don't catch it and see it,
gone.
You just added 50 snails. There's where your ick came from. Yeah, they don't tell you to quarantine your inverts, do they? Or quarantine your corals. No. Well, you quarantine corals, but people do it for different reasons. But the biggest one should be the fact that is a carrier of that of ick, because ick is looking for something rough to insist on in your substrate. So the issue that you're going to run into now is that's in your system, and it isn't that it's always there. That I think is a load of horse crap. You can eradicate it. It's just, well, you said it in the beginning. If you really truly want to do it that way, you have to tear the system down, or not tear it down. Sorry, you have to get all the fish out, get them into quarantine, treat them, and then fallow the tank for 3 months.
You have to fallow it, but it depends on how much coral he has, because he can end up dropping nutrients too fast where the coral end up having actually suffer.
That's where the you have to. Oh, what is it? There's a way to get around that.
Well, you can
My local
add.
fish store guy has nitrates
Yeah, you
that
can
you
add
can add.
nitrates.
Yeah, you can add nitrates to keep that
Brightwell
crack.
sells them, and yeah, the
Oh, there you
Neo.
go.
What's it called? Neo something? I forgot the name of it now. But
Yeah,
I know
something like
Brightwell
that.
has it. They sell phosphates as well if you need to, but just ghost feeding also will
And
help
ghost
out.
feeding. Yeah, it'll help.
So
So you have to take this from a healthy perspective. Don't be so down, man. It sucks. Trust me, I've been there. 9 months. Don't do 9 months.
there's so many different treatments out there. That's the part that kind of sucks because like the whole like medic lab and you have this and that and cordon and ruby. What's it called? Rally. You have Rally and this ruby red
Rally,
product.
Rally, whatever the hell it is. Yeah,
Right.
and the
There's
worst part is they're not
so
snake oil, but they're pretty close. They're supporting the fish. It has nothing to do with killing ick. The only thing that kills ick, the only thing that kills ick is copper. Yeah.
and then you run into what stage is that ick in? What
Yep.
phase of its
If you see white spot, it's already off the fish. It's probably already in the sand.
and most of
It's
the
that simple.
medications only get it while it's free floating in the water.
Yep, even copper. Copper
So-
only kills them when they're in the water.
Yep.
Yeah. So
if
that's why
it's on
you
the
have
fish,
to.
it's not
You
gonna
got
kill
it.
'em.
Yep. Hence 2 weeks. You have to dose the fish for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Why? Because you got to catch it in the water.
I don't know if Jeff does or doesn't when he does. I mean, for me, it's a little different when I acclimate my fish, but I do still do a freshwater dip to try to make sure there's no flukes or any kind of ick on them. I know it does stress them out temporarily for a few minutes.
What's
But
that
I've-
new one? The start stop. You get the malachite green and then the malachite blue. You do the 2 bucket method with it, and apparently
Oh,
that,
yeah,
that
yeah.
that does a really wicked job on flukes.
Yeah, you can do that. And then there's also the transfer method, but that
And yeah.
gets into a whole different. That's I've never done it myself, but it makes sense at the same time.
But I'll tell you, in all honesty, Jeff, if you wanted to be 100% sure and you wanted it out of your system, especially that big naso, all that stuff, if you have the means to get those fish out, just trap everybody. And leave behind the ones I call the difficult ones, the rock climbers, right? So the guys that'll hide under the rocks on you and stuff, those generally are cheaper fish. I know that's still horrible to say, but they are. A $20 Watchman goby, hey Al, is so much easier to replace than a $100 naso tang. You know what I mean? Like the hit is so different, right? But I know in my experience, my wife would never let me let a fish maybe suffer. But I used to have to leave my goby, my yellow Watchman there, Hans. He's been through the hell and back, but I had to put him in a 5 with a rock and sand because I couldn't separate him from the pistol shrimp. She would just freak out. An aquarium down under, if you're still here, how old are you guys? Because I watched your video and I thought it was like, oh my God, I think those guys are like 13. A Molly Miller and a shrimp goby. Yeah, so if you can if you got a fish trap, take your time, get your guys out, try to catch them before. And, there's 2 ways to look at this. Watch your fish, support them, and hopefully everything goes well. And they stick around. But remember that chances are ick is still there. That's the only thing you got to think of there, I guess. Or trap them all, get them out, and fallow the tank. That's pretty much your 2 options. Shit and shittier. Really. There's no way to get around that.
Does he have a hospital tank? I forgot.
I think he said he does, but
if he does, I mean, he's just gonna have to wait then. I know the standard time is 72 days, but I would still go a little
I go
over.
90. Yep, I go 90.
So-
No, I don't screw around anymore because
That's why I'm like, yeah, I know the standard. They say 72, but I would
and if
still
you've
go a
already
little
done
past that.
72, you're talking about 2 weeks. Screw it, do 2 more weeks. I know a guy who went 4 months, and I'm like, what? But he's like, nope, I got to be sure because I read about super ick, and I'm like, super ick, okay.
Super ick.
Yeah, there's resistant strains of ick, right? But
it just sounds funny, I guess, to me.
yeah, it did to me
Calling
too.
it
I'm like,
super
super ick.
ick. Yeah, well, there's resistant forms of bacteria also. I mean, it'd be the same thing almost. It's kind of funny.
And they have, you know what? That's the trip. I would, if you want my opinion, and that's all there is to it here, get them out. Fallow the tank. That way, all those inverts, nobody's holding on anymore. And get yourself a 5-gallon tank for your snails, right? Because you can always just take a veggie clip and put an ori sheet in the bottom to keep them fed. No, your tank's way too big for a 20 long, buddy. That Naso tank alone needs like a 50-gallon tank minimum, and that's still going to stress his ass out. Yeah, maybe talk to them. Yeah, if you have the means. See, this is what it comes down to. This is where the means comes from. And I try and tell people about that. That's the hard part in this hobby is the financial hit on the wallet when things start to go wrong. It can be really bad. Well, I don't know. What do I know? Apparently, according to family members, I'm full of shit, so. Yeah, I'm controlling, guys. Look out. Thought that was funny. I'm here to help you. And you just didn't like it that I kept you motivated to move. Oh, okay. Well, that works out. Look at that. If he owes you $1,000, make him pay. Oh. That's true enough, Al. You are correct. The other thing you can do is totes. They do work. Yeah. And you can get a pretty strong 50-gallon tote. For, well, it kind of sucks that's one fish, but. And they got lids. Yeah.
Yeah, Home Depot has those big ones. Even they're close to 100 gallons for like $20, $22.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if ever, but the problem then space is a premium for some people, right? Like I can use my room. If I had to, I could put everything I've got into quarantine right now. Probably cost me about $100 in supplies and my sanity and water. Yeah, but you know, it's one of those things that you just kind of. Well, there you go. So yeah, unfortunately, you're probably looking at a day of catching. But I recommend buying a good fish trap. It's so much easier on the head. Yeah. And heavy duty, there you go. Low just, you know, there's options, Jeff. But if the option for the fish store is the easiest one, do it, right? But if there's other ways, there's many ways to skin a cat in this hobby, right? Yeah, I kept my sand and my rock alive in totes for, oh geez, it must have been a month. Yeah, there's no way out of it. We got to say it. Ick sucks. It's that simple. Any fish disease sucks, or parasite. It was just a pain in our ass.
Yeah, there are some people, some reefers that actually just leave the fish actually in there and try to just fatten them up and keep feeding them.
Yeah, yeah.
Try to see if they can just shake it off.
Yeah, support the tank. Exactly.
Yeah. So there's, like you said, there's just so many different ways that you can treat it or not treat it. You know, it just kind of comes down to what he prefers to do.
Well, and you know, Jeff, you can look at it this way. Tell her to look at the fish, right? This is what I did. Oh, my wife fears ick. Fears ick. It took her months to stop looking at the tank and looking at them. And is that ick? You know what I mean? Like driving me nuts, right? Like, nope, that's not ick, right? But you know, yeah, you just got to worry about that drain plug, right, Luke? Oh, you can show that. The word die triggers off the chat now? Really? Wow. What's YouTube worried about?
Mix the house water.
Oh, look at that. I have demands. I got to make house water. Yeah, no out there, eh, Jeff? Yeah. No. So, anybody watch Ladies' Night tonight? Was there any interesting chat? I had been up, I would have watched it. But I'm not going to watch a rewind. Like, no.
Sorry, I was just reading the chat.
No, so am I. I'm just trying to keep an eye on it for everybody. Mind you, it's only the hardcores that are in there, so.
I watched only parts of it because I actually was having to do stuff around the house. But it went well. It was cool.
Good.
Yeah, everyone had plenty of questions to ask and stuff. And at the end, Rico was able to answer some questions that some of the girls had. And Annika, I don't know if you know her or not. I think you've seen her before, maybe in the chat somewhere.
I've probably seen her before. Yeah.
She's a verified person, so she has over 100,000 subs. But she has her own like stream and stuff. But she was talking about her experience in the hobby so far, and she had a lot of good questions. So I think
Sweet.
it went well. Yeah, it's always good when people are asking questions.
Yeah. How's Rico's GoFundMe going? I haven't checked in a while.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't checked either.
I saw the link wasn't there anymore. Yeah, I don't even know if he's still bothering. Yeah, it wasn't high enough.
No, I think he's still using it though for his frag packs. But I can check. I think the link. Let me hold on a second.
Yep. Yeah, Jeff, you got the same thing as me. If something were to go wrong now, it would be better if it went wrong now. Not necessarily that I wanted to, but I have the time and the means to look after an ick outbreak or something of that nature. But yeah. So you guys want to hear the funny story I was telling Bubba? You guys missed it. So I went to the fish store today. 3K? Is that it? Oh, man, you think a guy with that many subscribers, right? You think. But all I find for streaming for me is that it just bumps your viewing hours. It doesn't really doesn't help with the other part of it that you really need. So, but we can't all be Coral Fish 12G, huh?
I'm seeing 2,300.
10%, not even, about 9%.
But I know he's using the. I think he's still using it as for his frag packs whenever he does that or the raffles to put the money into the GoFundMe account versus putting it in his PayPal. It must be cheaper to send it through GoFundMe, I guess.
Yep. So, yeah, he got that? Who was it? Was somebody helped him out getting the vertical board or whatever there? The one that hangs you upside down for your back. And
I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah, Rico's got, I guess, vicious back problems. And nobody
back problems I do know about. I didn't know that somebody was trying to get him a vertical
board.
Yeah,
they did it in like half an hour. They got enough super chats, I think, to actually get it out and get it shipped to him, which is like, that's sweet.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, hopefully you get some sort of relief from it, because he was in a
I don't wish
the other day.
And that's just it. Somebody's like, you're not in Rico streams much anymore. No. Well, I got my own channel to look after, man. Right? I can't hang out there all day. And even if I don't maybe agree with something Rico says, that doesn't mean anything, right? Everyone's entitled to their one opinion. You're going to have one anyway. And two, Rico said it himself. There's more than one way to skin a cat. You know what I mean? So, he's helped so many people. I'd love to see that GoFundMe go for him. I really would, right? He helps out a lot of people, so why not, right? Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he helped save a ton of money, and I've learned a lot in the last year.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just, I give a ton of credit to him and having the streams up, but I should also include all the people I've met that have a lot of years, in the industry, and also helping out with a ton of questions. And even the people that have failed or run into problems or had a partial crash or full crash, you still learn through them of what they did or something they did or malfunctioning equipment or something.
Exactly. Or what not to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
hi, CJ. Right, Oh my God.
CJ's up this late?
Yeah. No. I don't think he's up. No, it was that when he did the skim mate thing, right? So he heard that tip.
Oh, I thought you said CJ was
Oh
in
my
the chat. I
God.
was like, wow.
Man, he was so close. He almost whooped his tank. And it's just like, wow, man. And all over, what was it? A faulty CO2 valve.
Yeah, the
Seemed to be,
CO2
when you
valve.
track it down, it was a CO2 valve, then some leaky fittings, and then
The skim mate
just
thing didn't help
this
either.
didn't help, right? So you
No,
got
it
this
didn't.
weird combo of
It
events,
sucks.
right?
Hey, but they happen though. It happens to the best of us. Look what happened to you today. You know, it's like something you didn't expect to happen. And it happened.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. I can't believe I fell asleep.
I've done
Well, I
stuff
can.
too.
I'm exhausted, but it was kind of funny that I would put the fish. I had the presence of mind to put the fish in the tank, in the bags to temp acclimate, and I'll come out in a minute and I'll cut the bags and I'll clamp them up and I'll start my drips and blah blah blah. And I ate my supper and boom, gone. So my fish have already been in the bag for 4 hours. Now they're in for almost another 4 hours. And I'm like, well, that sucks. I'm going to have to do this quick and dirty for sure, right? Yeah. But I just checked on them there a minute ago, and I'm going to check one more time. But yeah, my urchin. Yeah, Jeff, that's part of the story there. So what I had to do, so after falling asleep, my two critters I have to worry about have been in there for give or take, almost 8.5 hours. I had to take them and pinch the bag above them, drain the water out, and then clamp them up to the tank and drip them. So the Bengay Cardinal I got was in maybe an inch of water in the bag, right? And I did him for I think I got him for about 30 minutes, and then thankfully my LFS and my salt are both the same, like the salinity. So I knew that was going to be okay, and anything else is better than what was in that bag. So took him out, put him in. He's out there swimming around. He's not respirating hard or anything. And then the urchin was the one I was worried about, because what I kept laughing about with Rotter Tube, and I really, really should drop in his live stream and go and ask him. But the thing is, you never really get a straight answer when I was asking before about when he had urchin problems. Any of the inverts that you even would think are sensitive, it's like 3 hours. If you really want to be sure, you're not going to put it in your tank and have what I happened with a fire shrimp. Put it in your tank, it eats, and then goes in the corner and dies. All within the span of 10 minutes. You know what I mean? So I don't screw around with them. I do a long acclimate with them. So, and then, so I'm doing this. Fish is out. All right, we're on the way. The corals are out. We're on the way. So I'm just doing this urchin, and I had it clipped up too high in the tank and dripping too much water, and it was just rolling out of the bag onto my floor. So I had to clean that up. Yeah. Don't do anything when you're tired. Excuse me. So anyway, long story short, I took this little urchin that's no bigger than the end of my thumb, put him onto the hair algae that I wanted to eat, and I went and checked on him after about 20 minutes, and he was moving around. He was actually, so I'm like, okay. And I'll check on him a couple more times before bed. Yeah. Yeah, I normally don't. I'm normally home well before the evening when I go to the fish store, so that I have hours to work with my acclimation. Hence the name of the stream, when the best of acclimating intentions go wrong. Yeah, so that aquarium down under that you see pop in here from time to time, and I think in the other ones, I think they're 13 or 14 years old. They got their videos up, and it's a couple of young fellas working this big tank. It's kind of cool, actually. Nope. So 3 people in here. One of them's Luke. Luke. Saw them doing a few things that it was like. I think my favorite was they were cutting plumbing, and they were soaking it in vinegar to clear the pipes. I'm thinking that's a good idea. And I'm thinking, you probably could just use a little bit of that and get yourself a pipe cleaner kit. The semi-soft metal ones, and just scrub it out. But okay. And maybe they don't have the funds. I don't know. But I'll support them. Why not? Yeah, and that's Canadian kids were like that, and then video games really sort of took over when Xbox 360 and PlayStation 2 were the thing. And it was like, yeah, you could see a change. But Australian kids still seem to be, nope, let's go outside. Even with all the dangerous stuff they got to live with out there. When we were kids, man, I didn't have to worry about playing outside and getting bit by an Australian brown snake and dying. Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go grab a quick coffee, and I'm going to go check that tank right quick, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. Go for it.
Yep.
Just me versus the chat. Just messing. Oh, the silence. The silence.
There we go. Cool. So we can't see him, so I know he's got to be out eating, doing something. So it's all good. Hopefully, he's like a little lawnmower in my tank. We got there.
I was telling the chat, pretty boring. All this silence.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? Well, you know,
Yeah,
if you
well,
got nothing, go ahead.
I'm having a hard time though, like trying to, because I got kicked out the last time. So what happens is the voice portion will shut off. It puts it like in a pending, and then I have to go back to the
Oh,
stream to be able to read the chat.
yeah.
But if it's running, it freaks out and will kick me out sometimes.
Yeah, you gotta like it. Eh? Like I said, thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Google.
Yeah, it's, you would think it'd run a little better, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
But nope.
Yeah. No, it's pretty funny. My the family member I was moving there started talking to me. He went to a reef store with me, and I've got footage. I'm pretty stoked about that of the driving that I have to do if I want to go to a fish store. You know, to a reef shop, and I got footage of me going over the Harbor Bridge. One of them. There's two in Halifax, and they're pretty high up. I think, one's 245 feet, and the other one's 300, almost 300 feet.
Wow.
And it's pretty spectacular vista view of the city, so to speak, when you're coming over the bridges to go into Halifax from the Dartmouth side. And you know, I'll just mix that with. I was going to do a video of the two stores, and they are in. I would prefer if you've watched King of DIY, you've seen One Fish, Two Fish. You know, you don't need me to do it. AFK, somebody had gone in and dumped some type of poison into her main frag display in the front of the store, and ran out. And before she could do anything about it, so to speak, and wiped out that display. Yeah. Who does that? You know, even if you're mad at the store, who does that? You know, go in and dump some toxin into a fish tank and run out. Disgruntled customer, I guess. And anyway, they charged that guy. They nailed him with animal cruelty and destruction of private property, and the guy actually got time for it. But that still does not, aside the fact that she lost something like $16,000 worth of stock.
It's a lot.
No. But can you imagine what kind of mentality is? Well, I mean, there's people out there that'll hurt a kitten, and there's then me. If I catch you hurting a kitten, I'm probably going to kill you. You know.
Yeah, there's no need for animal cruelty though.
Well, there's no need to abuse your kids, but people still do that crap. So,
Yeah,
you know,
that is true. Sadly, it's true, but
yeah, it's unfortunate, right? And that's where I think this hobby that there's got to be something in you that's a little caring. You know, from what she can't tell, there was nothing to test. And I told her, well, you should have sent off an ICP test because they probably would have found what it was. Because they do test, they don't necessarily, because I would assume that you would tell them that there was a toxin dumped into your tank, and they'll test it. Apparently, I was talking to my other LFS guy, but you have to tell them when you do write it down. But she never did, and I kind of looked at her and I thought, you're behind the times so bad, you know, so and so, because this hobby's jumped to a crazy point of testing. You know, we're at a point now where we can test just about everything. But what she thinks he did was arsenic.
oh wow,
Because he just had a bottle of clear liquid
Well,
And
arsenic's pretty easy to actually find, though.
oh yeah,
To
you can
test
get
for
rat
it.
poison. Yeah, it's rat poison, right? So if you
Very easy.
mixed up rat poison, walked in and dumped it into a tank, anything with a backbone is instantly going to die, and your sentinel, your invertebrates are going to go shortly thereafter.
Couldn't they charge some guy in Florida for doing that? Going into fish stores and putting bleach or putting
Bleach.
something
Oh
inside?
yeah, there's 4 individuals, and that's being polite. These human garbage walked into a Walmart and dumped bleach. Went over to the aisle, grabbed a thing of bleach, and then was dumping it in the tanks.
That's crazy.
Why would you do that?
I mean, it's freaking insane.
And they don't know who it was. They got them on video, but they haven't caught them yet. I haven't checked in a while though.
Yeah, they caught some other guy trying to steal coral too. It's like, jeez, what you guys doing? I've had one of my LFSs even admit that he had somebody try to steal coral. They put it inside a little like plastic bag or something, and one of his shirts that was loose. I was like, what? They're like, yep. They try to get away with little stupid things, but
it was in Texas.
Oh, is that where is that?
Yeah, Texas. $1,000 worth of fish wiped out.
Crazy.
Why? Just why? Yeah, so there you go, Jeff. Yeah, it's fast acting on anything with a backbone. Really fast. Yeah. And then invertebrates aren't going to last. I mean, if it'll kill us, it's going to kill them, right? That's the same thing when they say, oh, nobody does cyanide fishing anymore. Yes, they do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they do. They do in a lot of places.
And everyone's like, why? I said, have you ever tried to catch catch a fish in your fish tank? Yeah, try doing it in the ocean. Yeah. You know, he's not just going to swim into the little net bag for you, you know. Another heart-wrenching, well, I don't know if it's heart-wrenching. It's just kind of, there's a fella, and he has tried to keep a copper band butterfly once already, and his tank mates have killed that butterfly, right? He's got another one in the store. It is healthy and eating. I mean, eats right out of my LFS guy's hand, right out of it. So he's going to do really well in the right tank, right? Should. You know, fingers crossed he keeps eating instead of getting moody about it. And he's going in that guy's tank. It's like, well, you can hope your tank mates don't kill it again, but I would probably, and I said to him, suggest him putting it in a breeder box first, just to see if they're going to come out and just start bashing on him. Because if they are, then he should know not to put him in there. You know, he's, copper band butterflies aren't fighting fish. They're not going to look after themselves the same. They're runners. Put fish in their pockets and walk out? What? What the hell would you do that for? What would be the purpose? That's pretty stupid. I want that fish, man. I'm going to put him in my pocket and walk out.
You would think it wouldn't happen, right? But all it takes is that one guy that thinks, oh, there's nobody there. No one's watching.
Yeah.
And then they just decide to want to take it.
Maybe he watched my video and assumed that he can get away with 2 hours in his pocket before he puts it back in the tank. Doesn't quite work like that, but okay. Yeah. Yeah. So the wife wants a Melanoris wrasse or a mystery wrasse, possibly, to replace that filamentous that jumped on me. And I'm still like, really? That fish had a death wish, man. She jumped once, and then you literally waited to jump again till they took the top off? Really? Fish are pretty stupid sometimes, too. Yeah. Coffee.
I know, right? I already finished mine.
Oh, I just guzzle coffee. So now I'm going to do So, the DCP 3000 is just awesome, by the way, on the 20.
I was going to ask you, where do you have it set at? Do you have it at the lowest setting, or do you
I
have it
had
just
it
a
at the
little bit over?
lowest. I had it at the lowest, and the head pressure looked about the same. That was coming out of
Oh, okay.
the 2000. I'm like, okay.
So you just bumped it up one notch.
No, I took it to 74, and I had a little too much going down the emergency. You know, not just a little. There was quite a lot coming down.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. So I ramp it back down. I got it to 70, and it's still going down. So I think I'm probably going to be able to get it somewhere between 68 and 70% of its full power. And the flow's pretty decent. I may still offset that with an SW2 from Jabo. Or Jabal, whatever the hell they call them.
I'm glad it worked out, though.
I am. That's thrilled
good.
that.
Well, when you said it, I was just like, that's going to be a lot of power when you first said it.
Yeah, everyone thought so too. I was a little worried because we're talking about what, a 30% jump in power.
Yeah, but once they slime up, and you know, I mean, you'll be fine. I didn't know if it'd have to be staying the lowest setting or not.
You know, they actually blamed my plumbing for causing the problem with the 2000. I said a 45 and 190, you think would kill the power, like the flow that bad? It's no. I said a DC. I said all I'm telling you is that a DC 2000 on a straight 3/4 inch pipe, sure, it's going to still blow crazy. I said, but two corners should not kill a pump that bad, right? But this one, I'm not even up to full power, and I could ramp it to full power. The tank would handle it, but it's like, meh. That's not the purpose of it. If I can't get the flow out of it I want, then I'll have to, I'll just add a secondary pump. One cord coming out of my tank isn't going to piss me off, right?
Nah, it's no big deal.
I'm actually looking forward to see if the Urchin can do the job I hope he's going to do with the lawnmower Blenny. Yeah. And I may still treat it because they'll still eat it if you peroxide it and turn it white. They'll still eat it. They won't get as much nutrients out of it, but they'll still eat it. So, because I can't. Nice. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know they would go after it if it's already in a dying phase, I should say.
Yeah. Nope. I watched my Blenny just whoop, 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 just going to town on the white stuff, right? With his big fat belly.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna get. Man, I have got to do some videos. As I've been slacking hard. It's like streaming's just so lazy and easy, right? Look here, look at my tank. Yeah.
It took me so long to get those videos out, man. No joke.
No, and I work hard at it. But I was laughing with the wife. She goes, "You need another camera, don't you?" And I went, "Yeah." I need 2, maybe 3 if I really wanted to do what I want to do. I said, but I don't think I need to go that far. I said, one more camera. Like, I was going to use her phone, but if she's at work, then I can't use her at, S7 Edge, right? So,
right.
It's like, that's not going to work. So what I'm going to try to do is, I think I'm going to get the Logitech with the mic to put on my monitor. So I have video of me, and I'm going to set my camera up to be the remote camera all the time. And
nice.
Okay. That'll work. And I might get another external camera so I can have both tanks on the go and me.
Right.
So that'll work out a little better for streaming anyway. Yeah.
Have you decided what kind of video editing software?
Oh, I use HitFilm 4 Express. That's what I've always used. If you watch the video with the skimmer pump, did you ever watch that one yet?
I didn't go back to that.
Oh, go back and watch that one, man. I do such a stupid thing in that. It's not even funny.
I remember you telling Lisa and a few of the people what you did.
Yeah, she watched that and she said, that is just my wife. You can just burst out laughing at me. Well, I'm sitting there and of course I'm pissed off, right? My pump's not working. So, okay. So I took the volute off the front of the bubble blaster.
Right.
And I messed around with the impeller and I was checking it for nicks. And no, this feels like it might be one. And the pump felt strong. It didn't feel like the pump was making any problem. So I put it back on and I turned it on and okay, it's spinning at full bore. And for some reason then went and put it in the water while it's on in front of me. So all you see is this big spray of water. right up in my face, right? And of course, hit the power right off. Good night, Luke.
Good night, Loki.
Yeah, and it was, but if you keep watching it, there is a point where I'm in my workspace, aka the bathroom, and
The bathroom.
it's because I got a big counter in there and I got access to water, right? And I had GFCI plug, so I was in there trying, and finally I just got pissed off, and I thought to myself, well, I'm going to make. I was going to do Superman heat vision because I know how to do that as well, as an effect, and it was taking too long. Like we were talking, probably for me start to finish to do 10 seconds was going to take me about 5 hours.
Oh yeah,
right, to make it work. And
I know the feeling on that.
and then I'm like, okay, what else can I do? Oh, I know what I can do. So I did lightning coming out of my eyes, going into the bucket and setting it on fire.
Oh my god!
Right, and Lisa's like, oh my, where do you find time for that? And I said, well, that was easy. That took me like an hour, to make it go from my eyes, in the timing,
and actually out, right,
and out, and all that stuff, right? I said that's not as bad. I said the heat vision looks cooler, but the hard part is keeping the start and stop points and keeping it on my eye when you move.
Right.
I said that's
like
the hard part. Tracking
of it.
You got it. And it's a little harder to set up. But Hit Film 4 Express is a full edit. Like you can do the Iron Man stuff, Jarvis in the helmet. You can do that with it. Right.
Oh,
and
it's cool.
You got to you got to know what you're doing too. Right. It's a huge learning curve. I said to a guy, I said, the minute you watch a movie and all that CGI and they're bitching about not being able to remove his mustache, Henry Cavill there from Justice League.
Right.
For the reshoots, and I'm sitting there, you know what? They probably gave that to those guys and said, you got 24 hours turnaround. So there's probably some poor geek in a cave, guzzling, some energy drink and smoking his brains out, cursing,
going nonstop,
trying to fix this up, right? And it's like, whatever. Funny. I love everybody. I didn't like that movie. It was okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's, topically to fish. I like Finding Nemo much better than Finding Dory. And then we're like, why? I said, because it only got somewhat unrealistic in Finding Nemo. And the scene with Crush the turtle was much better in the first one. That whole, when they started doing the faster run or whatever, and he's like, right, Jess, right, Jess. I just love that. And that kid, I love it when the kid, Squirt, is given the explain how you're going to jump off, like a jump master. And I just love when Albert Brooks there, Marlon, right? I don't understand anything you're saying, right?
Oh, that was a great movie.
That is a great movie, right? Finding Dory is just so unrealistic. It's too far out. You know what I mean? It's funny, but it's just not quite the same thing, right? Like
I know it's like a public service announcement, like a PSA, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the first one was better, personally.
Yeah. So, but there's going to be a third one. Come on.
I wouldn't doubt it. They're going to keep milking anything that's going to give them money. Right now, it's It's the Star Wars section is going to always be there. And, yeah, but that's huge.
The people that hate me over not liking the new Star Wars stuff. Oh, I said, you don't understand, right? I said, look, I have no problem with the thing. Well, Luke did this, or look, every one of the big Jedis, I said, if you go back, did the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, no, wait. I said, go back and watch it. Pay attention, right?
No, it didn't have. Well, for me, it wasn't original enough.
No, and that's the thing. Where I don't like it is it's too.
I think Jeff's going to bed. Are you going to bed, Jeff? Well, he said goodnight, but I don't know if it's to Loki, and then he said thanks, guys.
And thanks, guys. Probably going to bed.
Yeah,
he's probably
going to bed,
tired.
man. Have a good night, bud.
Yep. Look after that back, man. Good luck with the ick, and let us know how that goes for sure, man. We'll get a wicked stream going probably tomorrow, I bet. I'll wait for Rico to get halfway through his or so, and then it's like, yep, I'm starting.
Oh yeah, whatever, man. I mean, I don't find that being an issue. I think if anyone wants to start a stream, they should be able to.
Should be able to, yeah. No, and nothing's ever been said. So, I'm really kind of like, I was in a panic mode. You guys,
Yeah,
well, you would be. You would be, Jeff.
Yeah,
Right? We all would be. Many curse words, or as I like to say, and like I said, I'm not monetized, I don't care. Right? Many fucks are given at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's fine. Anytime, brother.
Yeah.
But no, it's like there needs to be a bunch of people doing it, right? Like I'm really kind of curious with you ever watch Rotter Tubes stuff, Steve's?
The Studio Reef, yeah.
Yeah,
It comes
and
on there. A Reef Studio, does it call it?
Reef Studio he's doing now, yeah. And I'm like, cool, like do it,
cool.
man.
I've called in. I've talked to him.
And he's a pretty cool cat, and I've talked to him too. In fact, that's kind of where I got my start in it. And actually, I think in streaming, I was like, I should be doing this, right? Like why am I not doing this? I got the equipment, and actually, my family members are all mad because I don't have my stuff. I normally would have. It's all in Hawk because when I went unemployed, to the time I got the money, well, we got to survive, right? And the only thing worth any money is my high-end equipment from my office, right? So, I got a computer that, to the end of the earth, I will thank this guy. My other computer still works perfectly fine. My wife's now using it because her computer was quite old. Her motherboard was probably 12 years old. No, 10. At the very least, it was 10 because it's got DDR2 in it, which isn't that old, but the chip was a dual core chip.
Okay.
Right, so it's a little older, right? She was only running 8 gigs of RAM, and you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So we traded. I had an 8-core, 3.2 gig in mine, and 10 gigs of RAM, the oddest number of RAM I've ever seen. I didn't build it. If I had built my rig myself, it would have been an even number. So what they did was put in an 8 gig stick and a 2 gig stick because they assumed you weren't going to put in a video card. But the one I bought came with an HD 7670, which is really just a Radeon 6760 rebadged by Asus. I'm a total nerd, by the way, in case you hadn't figured that out.
No, that's cool, man. I look up some of this stuff sometimes too. I don't build computers, but I like checking out how
what's going on
and all the new stuff
and there's nothing wrong with that card, but it is not a true gaming card. It's more of a viewer. There's a better way to put it. It's got a nice HDMI output that's really clean.
Right.
So what I did was gut mine and give it to her and put her GTX 560 Ti in it. And, got her whooped up to like 100 frames a second. And, we got her just humming along. And then he gave me, and I'm not kidding, an i7 Skylake chip. Oh, wow. Okay, 4.2 gig chip for free. The board, really? 32 gigs of RAM. Right, and all I had was $60, so I went out and bought a used GTX 560 Ti from another guy, and that's what I was running, and that's with the 2 terabyte hard drive, with the spare 2 terabyte hard drive plus my external 1.5 terabyte drive.
Is that i7 chip? I don't know the exact model number, but
4790.
4790. That's the 8-core.
Yeah, I do believe.
I think it's the 8-core. Yeah, that's a rocking
That's a
chip.
Melt your face chip.
Yeah, that's a rocking chip. That's not like that is.
And I'm like, well, I got to give you something for it. And he said, no, don't worry about it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand.
And the chip itself,
super expensive chip.
Yep.
Do you know why I got this from him? You ready for the laugh?
He owed you money a long time ago.
No, the CP fan, the header for the CPU fan, fried. That's all they fried on this board. For some reason, the CPU header burnt out for the fan, just for the fan, which means you got to go over to the non-controlled header. So there's another header, right? So you think of it like a plug. Sorry, I should say it that way, but header, right? So it means the fan's on all the time. So all I did was take the big monster cooler that he had on it off and put on a regular, i7 core, 478 cooler, right? Got it for $20, right? Pump, flipped it on. It's fairly quiet, right? And that's, here, it burned out. I can't use it. And I'm like, over a fan header. Dude, I've used computers that had missing memory. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Now the rig he built to replace this, oh my god.
I can only imagine if he was just handing me that chip.
couple thousand
He's like, here
dollars.
you go.
He's running dual 1080s.
Oh my, what the hell for?
He games professionally games
Like that. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's
like
like
he does
damn.
Overwatch, and he's in rated leagues, right?
I'm sure he probably ended up buying the Titan then, a couple Titans because they run supposedly a little bit smoother.
Well, he found he had them, and the difference in frame rates and texture mapping was so little.
It's minimal. I know that too, but
Right?
supposedly it has a couple more features and can render supposedly a little bit better. But I don't.
And that's what they say, yeah. And I'm
I
like,
don't know how true that is because I've never owned it. You know,
here's the difference: that I'm running the wife's old computer. I just cleaned it up really well and did a couple of changes to it and put a new cooler on it, and it's running everything for me. I can compress, do my video. A 15-minute video takes 2.5 hours, right? Once you're going through hit film and all the effects and shit.
Right.
If I was doing it on my computer, it would take 20. That's the difference in power, right? If I did it on his, we figured it out to be 6 minutes.
It's, you know, what's disgusting about I mean, to me it's disgusting, but everyone else might think something else. But I think the whole thing with the graphic cards is just getting out of control.
Oh, it's been out of control
with the whole mining. And I get it to a point, but damn, like you're almost like double or almost close to tripling graphic cards. Like, holy shit, they're already kind of expensive before. And now it's 1,000 plus to have a good graphics card.
Keep going. There's graphics. Yeah, there was one GTX Titan that I was looking at, the new 1080 Titan, and it's $2,700.
Yeah,
that's more than my whole rig.
That's what I don't get. They used to be only like $1,200 last year.
Yeah,
in the last year they've gone up.
They say it's
crazy.
They say it's because the DDR5 RAM. I've heard, and I know this happened back in the early dots. There was a batch of silicate that they used for it that got contaminated. Because a lot of these are built in Indonesia, and the silicate sits in a warehouse in piles. And if it gets contaminated, you can't use it, right? Because none of it will work, right? It just doesn't work. So maybe, you know, I think it's just there's profit to be had, and you know, idiots willing to pay for it. So I just don't get it. You know, how great must it be rendered, right? Like, even you know, I get it for like say Pixar. You got to have that kind of monster power to crunch it, right? But they've got blade servers to handle that.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's what they're for.
Exactly.
They're there to crunch everything together before you send it off.
Like CJ walked into that server room that night on one of his streams, or one of the streams.
Oh, I've seen the server room,
and I was like, "Oh, you know, check it out, right? You know, I can name everything that's in there, right?"
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, definitely impressive to see what's going on. But the cloud service, a lot of people really think the cloud service is like, well, where's it coming from? Oh, it's the cloud. What do you mean?
They think it's a cloud, right?
They
it's
really
like,
think it's a cloud, and I'm like, no, it is a
it's a physical space. You got it.
That's in Finland.
Yeah,
out in the boonies, that has your information. It can still get hacked. Because people think in the cloud that things don't get hacked. No, that's how these pictures of celebrities and other things going on,
I know,
get stolen because they put them on that cloud. And
why would you take, you know, Miss Jennifer Lawrence? Why would you ever take nude pictures of yourself knowing it was a possibility? Even if it was just so remote, why would you do that? You know, like you would keep that locally on your own computer at best. You know what I mean? I'd put it on a thumb drive and bury it in a drawer, you know, and mark it. I have nude pictures on this. You know,
some of that though kind of ends up becoming like publicity for herself. I think. I mean, first off, she's not, you know, she's not ugly.
So no, she's not hard on the eyes. That's for sure.
So it's not people are gonna go like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she. Look at those nude photos. You know,
I think the funny one is. when you figure out that Kim Kardashian's only famous because she made a sex tape.
Oh yeah,
Paris Hilton, same thing.
Same
right?
thing. Mm-hmm.
Because these are not smart women. They think they're smart. I'm sure you think you're smart. Yeah.
No, they have all these advisors and people to help them, to guide them with their money that they do have. It takes money to make money, so unfortunately, they have the finances to do that kind of stuff and get people to help them market themselves and hey, this is what we should be doing. You should go to this to show that. I mean, a lot of it's just a show face. So.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it's the same thing with wow, and I can round this right into fish. What was it? Tanked? I can't watch Tanked, man. It just it's nice.
Yeah. I
but
mean,
it's
I think what they do is the tank designs is quite amazing.
Yeah,
I will
that
say
part
that.
is.
But the whole how they do the fish thing and like we only have every single one of these
is a drama.
It is, oh my gosh, we have only a few hours before he gets home. How's the water going to clear so fast? And then they come back and everything's done and fish are swimming. And it's like, come on, you can't. Yes, you can make that happen.
Sure can for 20 minutes, long enough to shoot it. You know what I mean? And then it's going to look like crap for the next 6 weeks, right?
So,
what was the other one that was? They were out of Florida, Fish Tank Kings. You ever seen that one? And Francis, their expert resident fish guy, he works for Fluval now for Hagen.
Yeah, I've seen him.
And everyone's like, well, blah blah. No, he's a true marine. He's I get in the water. He's legit, right?
Yep, he is a legit marine biologist.
And I use their supplements, right? Fluvals, because they're easy, they're cheap, they're easy to get, and the quality control is pretty good, and they'll show you their quality control. Whereas Brightwell, well, there's no videos up at Brightwell's factory.
No,
where they're putting this stuff out, right? So, it could be a guy just taking a leak in a bottle for all you know, right?
Who knows?
Quan, we need more. I drank all I can. I just, and I'm not, don't get me wrong. I almost bought my Microbacter 7 today from Brightwell. Is it really good for the detritus side, or is it just a booster?
It's more of a booster than detritus.
I think it's Bacter M I'm thinking of, isn't it?
Yeah, Bacter M will, because that's actually an enzyme. But Microbacter 7 is kind of just a replenisher for if you've already had some bacteria, kind of old bacteria for over a year.
So it's kind of like stability. Same premise.
Yeah, pretty much. It's almost identical. The only difference is stability has the other 3 strands of bacteria.
Right.
Where Microbacter 7 will have the 2, and I forgot what the Nitrococcus and another one. I forgot the other name of the other one.
Gotcha.
But it does have the 2 primary beneficial bacteria, and it also has on top of that they put something in it to be a carbon source, but not heavily
not a heavy one.
Okay. Right. It's very, to me it's low because I've tested things and my tank's never had an issue with it. My tank did have an issue with ATM outbreak though. And that is kind of like similar to Waste Away or the Tech M that you're talking about.
Right.
It's kind of in that grounds where it will eat detritus, but wow, did it piss off a few of my ACANs. Like they did not like that stuff.
Oh, well, that's good to know. See, information, right?
Oh yeah. There's
what was I thinking of? God, I was thinking, I'm going to probably start my no-pox again now that my tanks are kind of stable. I just didn't want to hit the 20 right away because it's so new that I wanted things to kind of progress before I thought about, So I'm not going to hit the 20 with no pox yet because I've now got 2 guys in there to eat up that algae. And if they can't handle it, then I'm going to hit it a little harder. And that's where, and any of us that are doing this that you can, I guess, pay attention to, patience is what we talk about all the time. Don't try to throw 20 chemicals at your tank all at once.
Oh, hell.
Start something and let it run for a bit. When we say a bit, we mean a few weeks.
Yeah,
right?
close to a month.
Yeah, don't. Well, it's the next day. Algae's still there. I better throw something else in the tank. It's like, no, you're good. It's a
Even lighting
recipe for.
changes. You'd be surprised. I moved my lighting last week 2% up, and I have diffusers on the Radeon,
Yep.
and my coral got a few of them loved it. They're like yes, and a few of them were like, why is it so
Nope.
bright?
Yeah.
Because they got so used to the lower par.
I want to try the diffusers, but the problem is they're so bloody expensive.
They are pricey, and
Right.
I don't. I'd love to be able to speak to Jay, and I know Devin has his information and can get a hold of him from Radeon, but
Yep.
the one I got just was real, like the packaging. It was all scratched up. I was just kind of like turned off by it.
Yep.
And the diffusers is very flimsy of a plastic.
It is.
It's not very stiff, and I was like, what the hell? Like the one that's in the AI primes and a few of the hydras are that like a harder coated,
Better
type.
quality.
It's a lot thicker. I can tell just by tapping on it. I'm like, this doesn't feel the same.
No.
So I kind of wanted to throw some questions at him to ask where's this stuff coming from?
Where's it sourced? Or you're not going to tell us because we'll figure out we can get it cheaper. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't doubt maybe it was just made in China or something, but the quality control just has to be a little higher. I mean, considering it's Ecotech and they're charging $45 out here for one.
Well, you know what's funny is the lighting thing on that front. If it's Ecotech or it's AI, it's the same company.
It is. They own each other. They bought
each other. Yeah.
They bought out AI. I know.
So when you're sitting there, it's like somebody asked me, what's the best lighting to go with? I would tell anybody, get a Prime. Why? Because
primes are awesome.
You're going to save a ton of money, right?
Yeah,
and if you need to have a brand name light, right? What I wanted to try is on the black box, taking 2 of the diffusers and laying them on the glass and then putting the board back down and just taking off all those spread beams because the diffuser would then do it for me, right? And then you got to watch your par because me take those diffusers off, the little ones that they put on. So they put on 90s, right? So the little, what do you call that? Lens that they put on there is a 90-degree lens. You can get 120s. You want to see a stupid amount of money they charge for something? Is those little caps that you just twist them on a little bit and they do this spread for you. And I'm like, I just take off 2 ends. Just take them off, right?
Just completely take it off.
Yeah, and like somebody's like, why? Because it just spreads out that UV better when I put it on there, right? So I'm actually probably going to order those tomorrow. I think I'm just going to bite the goddamn bullet and order my LEDs. Because the guy, you ready? You want a good story? Want a good fish story?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So I don't know how, and I appreciate it, but I've become kind of the go-to guy in my area. And I think it's just because and I'm outgoing, but I'm not. I hate people, man. I just despise crowds, right?
Yeah.
But, and one-on-one gets uncomfortable because people have, it's like the Mad TV, lowered expectations. Remember that, right?
Yeah,
So
I do remember that.
people are the opposite, really. It's not lowered expectations. They have very high expectations of themselves, right? So there's a fella, he's got a tank. The tank is 28 days old, okay? 28 days. He already has 12 fish in it and a bunch of coral. Okay, fine.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, what have you done? And he's telling me, and I'm like, no, that's not enough for what you're trying to do. Well, but okay, so you haven't, did you use beneficial bacteria? Did you boost? Did you do this? Are you sumped? What are you doing? Okay, so he's kind of half-assed in here at this point. So he gets a little algae outbreak. And when I say a little, he's got a little brown. This is the description I get, and ask me for an answer. I get a text that says, I have a little bit of brownish red algae, right? And I said, is it brownish red or reddish brown? I say, because it makes a difference, right? And he goes, well, it's reddish brown. I said, okay, that's just diatom of some sort of brown hair algae. Don't worry about it. It'll resolve itself. I get a text about 20 minutes later. Well, I talked to Derek, the guy I hate in Moncton, right?
Yeah,
And I'm like, okay. And I literally texted faster than he could get back to me. I said, I bet you he told you that it's dinoflagettes and you need to black out your tank for 3 days and start using Dino-X thereafter, right? And he went, oh, well, yeah. I went, yep, you're going to wipe out your tank. No, I won't.
Oh,
And I'm like, oh, well, let me see. I said, you go ahead and do what you're going to do. I said, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I can just give you my opinion, right?
yeah, we'll have fun on that one because not only is the bio load too high, he's gonna suck all the air right out as soon as he puts it
right
in
out of that
Dino-X.
tank. You are going to nuke your tank, buddy.
He's gonna suck it right out, dude.
And he looked at me and he goes, well, and you know, when he types back to me, he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, the blackout won't cause you too many issues. I said, but the minute you put that Dino-X in the tank after 3 days of blackout, I said, your ORP is going to drop so fast. I said that you will literally take all the oxygen out of that tank.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
Well,
and
I'm glad you told them.
And
some people don't get it.
And I said, you can do it. I'm just warning you from my end. That's it. I'm just giving you my opinion. I said, but if you want to take the word of that guy in Moncton, I said, whom I do not deal with at all, right? I said, then that's just on a personal level. I said, you want to take that he's got the time? I said, why don't you ask Norm, right? The guy, my local fish guy I use in Fredericton. And he never messaged him. And I ended up talking to Norm, right? And I said, did this guy ever get a hold of you, right? And he goes, no. And I told him the exact same thing I just said. And he just went, yeah, he's going to kill his tank. I went, yeah, that's what I told him.
I mean, someone that's already, I've only been in it for a year, but I've been paying attention to what's been said, and I've been researching about ORP. I've been researching about oxygenation. I've been researching water quality, researching dinoflagellate. I mean, you have to, people don't realize that you can't just keep getting the answer and not understand what that answer is. And I've noticed that with the new batch of reefers that we've kind of been running into. And it's not to put anyone down because everyone
you got to
has
learn
a little extra time, throughout their day. And like for me, I guess it was kind of like kind of an addiction, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, but why does it do that? And then I'd want to Google it and then ask the people that I feel may know about it and kind of pick their brains and then come back to it and Google something else that they told me. Oh, did you know that this lighting system? Oh, all right, let me. And it just constantly kept me doing that. That's why I'm saying I'm not putting anyone down. It's just I think on some of the streams I've noticed a few of the same people making
the same
mistakes, even though they've already been told.
Exclusive, exclusive. Yeah.
But certain people have made these mistakes, and it's like,
if you're not learning from it, you're that kind of person that keeps having car accidents.
I just don't. I guess for me, I don't
get the mentality. No,
I want everyone to be successful.
Exactly.
And at the same time, though, kind of be humane about it. I get it that things are going to die. Things are going to pass. I totally understand the life cycle or them being stressed. Yeah. The little guys just can't make it, right?
No, exactly. Or you'll put a coral in your tank. Everyone else is doing great, but this one type of coral keeps dying.
It just,
and you have
don't put it in your tank anymore.
Don't put it in your tank anymore. It's not going to come around. Or conversely, you may change things so that it survives, but you'll cause problems for the others.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's, you got to kind of look at this from a very, it's science, right? Yeah. People don't understand. This is science. We're playing with chemistry.
Yep.
Right? So we have these tanks. These are micro oceans that are self-contained. That's why ick is so bad in a tank. Because they're literally...
You don't have the extra water volume.
Nothing to deal with.
Run away from it.
Exactly, right? So when that cyst explodes with hundreds of parasites in it, and you have 20 cysts, so now you have 2,000 parasites swimming around in your 20-gallon tank. What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, yeah.
It's not going down the overflow. Yeah. Sorry, hate to argue with said person that said that. No, it's going to come right back up the other side. Mm-hmm. It's got 7 hours to find its host, right? It's not going to swim around the sump go, geez, what happened to all the fish? It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but it's just crazy. I don't know.
It is. And, I look at it this way. I guess from my point of view, we're in charge of their care. I want them to live, right? Especially my fish. Coral, I don't have enough coral to cry about it yet. And I was checking out some torches today that he's grown out. He's got an Aussie gold torch. And oh my God, is it ever gorgeous? and it's $100 a head. And it's like, right, but I want one, and it's like, well, my tank's kind of coming into ready again. I've kind of got a few things on the go, and he's growing it out. I have time. And, that's why me and him get along so well. That's why the respect level's there, because I say the things that are right. And I do what I say I'm going to do. I don't, well, I was going to do this, and then instead I decided to take a leak in my tank. I don't make rash decisions very often. The only thing I ever did that I kind of panicked about was the red turf algae, because that coralline was so aggressive in that big 120, that purple stuff I got in there. Or it's not purple, it's like maroon. I got to get a yellow lens to put on my camera so you guys can see it. So,
Sorry, I got kicked out.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's someone else in the chat. I don't know who's there, but welcome whoever's out there.
Yeah, hey.
Looking.
There was somebody there anyway.
Yeah, there was. Is it down to 1 or 0?
It's down to 1 again. Yeah.
Is 1 just with you, or is it just someone else?
I think it's me because I've got the chat up.
Oh, then it's just you. Then
it's probably just me. We're in here alone chatting away for the internet to listen to.
So, I don't care. I have nothing bad to say about any particular person, or it's not for. That's why I said there's no point of. I guess I just don't want people to, even if they're like, if you're to leave this up, I don't want people to think that I'm a know-it-all and I have all this, like I've learned all this stuff, and I truly do want everyone to succeed.
And that's it.
So that's the bottom line. I mean, even I'm going to have my own failures and my own obstacles in my own tank. So, right now I'm going through some bubble algae, and I had some cyano that wouldn't go away, but I didn't want to use chemically. So I ended up beefing up the cleanup crew and trying to do different alternatives versus throwing a chemical inside. So.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes that works, and sometimes you got to use chemically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it didn't get crazy. So
yeah, and if it doesn't, you're great, right? Like, what happened to me is being diabetic. I did not realize that when I put my arm in the tank and I'm doing something and I dry myself off, that my skin would become sticky. Right?
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that. Right? I just had never noticed. Mm-hmm. And so there was one day that I took my arm out and I'm like, man, I'm really sticky. So then your brain starts to go, what am I doing with my tank and what could be causing it? And there's nothing else there, nothing else to indicate a problem except that I do have suffering coral. So all of a sudden it becomes, there's something in my tank, and I went full panic. There's got to be, right?
Right.
And I didn't do anything too rash. And that's what I always extol, is that you're going to learn by your mistakes. That's the way it is. Hopefully nothing dies, right? And you just learn from it, right? That you caused a little suffering, but you fixed it. Everybody's happy again. And, that's just it. That's the best you can hope for, is that you do something akin to that. I think the ones I feel bad for is, and it's not a knock, who never have a problem, and then the big one hits, and it all goes horribly wrong. Because they don't have the experience to deal with it, right?
Yeah, I'm really, I mean, I want to say even blessed to be able to meet, like I said, the people I've met in Rico's stream and a few other streams, because if it wasn't for them explaining, hey, when things don't seem to look right, you may want to check this. If that doesn't go well, you may want to check that. Yep. It's kind of like having that little tree with a troubleshooting tree. Is it doing this? Yes. Okay, go to this section, and it kind of goes to the side. Is it doing this? And it branches out, right? No, yes, no.
Yeah.
And I had a bacterial infection that happened inside of my tank, and it came from a starfish. As weird as that sounds.
Okay.
So the starfish was kind of on its way out, I guess, because it already lost one leg. The LFS had told me, well, he's been in there with his missing leg since we got him.
Right.
But he's been doing good. He's still alive. But since he's missing the leg, we'll give it to you for 50% off. I'm like, cool. Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
And this is an LFS that I work at. And my wife was just like, oh, it's all right. It'll grow back. And I was hopeful it would grow back. I put him in the water. And within 3 hours, I started noticing coral looking kind of funny.
Yeah.
Come the morning, and this is after a little bit over 2.5 hours of acclimation. I wake up in the morning, my clam is completely shut. All my coral are all they want to go almost inside out, or they're all the way ducked in, and I'm like, okay, that starfish has to get the hell out. I grabbed the starfish, pulled them out. Sure enough, there's some sort of weird growth or some slime coming out of its mouth, and I was like, this is horrible.
Oh man, yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. This is when you're like, it's time to do something, because the clam that's always happy and open as soon as it gets some light is completely shut. So I was like, holy shit. So
What'd you end up doing for that?
First thing I did was actually get a big batch of carbon. I got some Roxate or whatever carbon, rinsed it well, put that in first so I can just pick up whatever it can. And then I started mixing salt. Mix a good 5 gallons of salt. Got that ready within an hour. Did a water change. And then on top of the water change, I added in Mycobacter 7, and I added enough to take care of typically a 50-gallon tank. And within, I want to say, 2 hours of after doing that, the clam started opening up. So I knew we were going the right direction.
Yep.
Waited another day, did another 5-gallon water change, and just let the tank stabilize. And it worked. Unfortunately, I did lose a few coral, but
better than the whole tank, though.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of infection it was. I mean, it's not like it's a true crash. It's just a bacterial.
Almost like a mini crash, yeah.
Kind of. That's why I didn't know what to. No, I don't.
No, see, now I'm going to get one. And you just made me think that's going on the list. What I used to have is, if you can find one, is the AA green killing machine.
Oh, yeah, the green machine. I've seen it.
Right? And get the little one, right? And believe it or not, that little one in the corner of a tank, just put it right in the display in a corner and let it run and leave it on for a couple of weeks will actually clean out most of the bad bacteria and protozoan.
Yeah.
Right? It's not and this is there's no magic bullet. Right? Everyone thinks that not at all. We've all we all learned this and you want it. Of course you want it, because if I put this in the tank, it's going to do this, like water clarifiers, right? With fresh water. And you watch people, and you're dumping. I did it. I had a 20-gallon tank, and I had fresh water, and I couldn't get the water clear, and it was the impatience of it, right?
Yeah, so I just wanted to clear up, and it's right. Like bacterial.
And I'm dumping, and I'm dumping, and I'm dumping, and it would clear up for like 20 minutes, and then right back again, right? So I finally just sort of did enough research, and I went out and bought a green killing machine because it was on sale for like $30. And I threw it in. I just left it on. And I said, it'll work. And the wife's like, are you sure? And I'm like, no, it'll work. And 3 days later, that water was so clear, you could see right through to the TV kind of deal, right? And I'm like, okay. And then I realized how boring fresh water was for me personally. I'm looking at these gouramis and and I'm going, this is just retarded. And, she's like, what do you mean? I said, the highlight of this tank is buying the ornaments to put in it.
Pretty much on fresh water. I mean, I'm not. I like fresh water. That's where I started. But you're right.
For me personally, right? I know people who do great things with it. In fact, the prettiest tank I have ever seen, and if you go up on YouTube, is the sand waterfall tank, and it's like 2 green fields on either side, like a rolling field. And this sand waterfall coming down the middle.
I think I've seen it. It sounds familiar.
It almost has like bonsai trees growing on it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's how long ago was this? A while, right?
It's probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago, right?
I think I have seen it. Yeah, it sounds really familiar. It just was a while back.
Exactly. And you're like,
planted tanks and those are beautiful. Yeah. I can't. I'll never say nothing bad about
that. That is probably the height of patience to do that, right? Because you got to design that first and then make it work and then keep it working.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so somebody was asking me, well, you see these great acro tanks and, this huge setup. And I went, well, here's the thing. You're going to have a guy who's either got a lot of time in the hobby like Rico, right? He's about what I think a little further than me in years, right? I think he's about 5-6 years he's been doing it. I think, don't quote me. But
Rico he's been for in the hobby?
Yeah. How long has he been doing it?
21 years.
21 years. There you go. So he's got 21 years of doing it. So he knows what he can do. right? And how to get it to do what he wants it to do, and the steps to
Yeah.
take. So everyone's like, okay, well, I don't have 21 years. And I'm like, well, yeah, you do, right? Because all these other tanks you're seeing, for the most part, literally were set up. The pictures were taken, because it's never video, or if it's video, it's at some show like at Bacna or whatever. I said, that's not a tank that's been running for 8 years. Very seldom will you see a tank that's been running for that long that looks that perfect.
Right.
You know, it'll look like Rico's tank, which is healthy and growing, but it's in a constant, he's pruning it.
That tank's only been up for about 3.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but yeah, him as a reefer, he's been doing it for a long time. So
the
good part is his experience has taught him the growth patterns of most of those acros and most of those SPF, which gives you that edge. That gives you the, hey, I know the way I want to do my aquascape, because this is going to fill in this part. This is going to grow that way. I mean, it takes time. I mean, he put his due diligence to say, and
you got it.
You can't.
That's it. That's where the respect is for me, right?
Yep.
I look at that and it's like, I'll take it. Attitudes aside, you know what I mean? That's what I try to tell people. You don't like someone, but you can still learn from them.
Oh yeah,
right? Don't ever judge. I said, even if you hate said person, right? So even if you go to whoever's reef chain, you go to mine, right? And you're sitting there going, oh, this guy's full of crap. Look at his tank. He's got the algae. I explain where that algae came from.
Yeah, without getting into too much detail, me and Rico have already had a little bit of run-in.
You might have.
And I have with him.
Okay.
We've spoken one-on-one, and things didn't go as well as I guess I thought they were going to go. And I wasn't even in the channel for a while. He banned me from his channel.
Okay.
So, and I think you realize that I'm not there to cause an issue, and I talked to him
disturb
about that
his sandbox. Yeah.
Right. Because honestly, at the end of the day, I'm just here as a student trying to learn.
Correct.
And the way I'm going to learn is by him and by everyone else, by their experiences, by their knowledge, by their years in the hobby, and saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to save you all this time. It took me 10 years to figure this out and then explain micro bubble scrubbing, or maybe, hey, you know what, that deep sand bed, you may not want to do that anymore. With how skimmers are, with this, that, with all the options of filtration, why don't you try this instead? And reefing has changed a lot from what I've been talking to the guys that only have even 5 years, and they're like, it's changed a ton.
It's changed in 3 years on me.
So I was shocked. I was like, really, that much? And like, hell yeah, a lot of new lights, a lot of this, a lot of that. I'm like, wow, okay. I guess fair to say, jump on the bandwagon at a good time. But finding these people that can guide you to do this, because I would have bought a lot of crazy equipment and stuff I didn't need. I already did start buying stuff I didn't need in the very beginning. I mean, I was buying GFO not knowing that I needed a reactor.
Totally guilty. Done that too. Yep.
I was just like, oh, okay. So,
well, it's, and I agree with you 100%, right? And that's just it. Like Rotter, right? As a for instance.
Yeah.
He's got the book on fighting ick and all that. And the thing is that it's really funny that if you watch the videos in the beginning when he was dealing with it, he's the one that saved me from going dumb. Okay. And somebody's like, what do you mean? I said, well, I tried this and I'm looking for a way to treat ick in the tank. And that's why it's hard for me to look at like Jeff and say, take him out. There's no way for you to be 100% sure. I will tooth and effing nail over that. Don't tell me that it did this. No, sorry, man. It's still there. You know what I mean? It may be on a fish. You don't see it. And your tank volume's big enough that it's not going into a full outbreak. But if you take a 175 and you got 2 fish showing ick, well, next week it'll be 5. And next week it'll be, you know what I mean? Because you got to understand the life cycle of that parasite, right?
Yep.
And it's in an enclosed system. Now, in the ocean, a fish might get ick once in its life, and it'll be one spot, and it'll never happen again. But we're talking about gazillions of liters of water, and we're talking about a vast area of ocean. A tang will get ick maybe once in its life. But it should tell you something that tangs, there's a reason we call them ick magnets. You know what I mean? They're a scaleless fish, right? They have a very thin slime coat, so they're prone. And, your Achilles tang, whoever you are that has one, I have seen a guy lose an Achilles. The worst one I saw is a guy who lost a emperor angel, full grown, to ick. And when I say he was covered in ick, I just saw pictures, but I probably guess he got hit by 3,000 to 4,000 parasites.
Oh, that's horrible.
All at once.
It was littered all over it.
He had no chance. He literally just swam into it. I guess he must have hit them when they all came out at once, right?
Yeah.
And that poor guy, and he made it. The guy saved him, right? And I'm like, how did you do that? And he was 14 inches long. Big fish, right? He was so weak. He was so weak, he picked him up out of the tank. That should tell you something right there. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go as aggressive as I dare. And he gave him a freshwater dip, and he held him in the fresh water and he had everything running. You know what I mean? All the equipment. And then he put him into the quarantine, and he held him for 2 hours in front of a power head in front of his gills. Right?
He needs it.
And I was like, wow, that's dedication. I guess I've done sort of that, but not like that length of time, like 2 hours with my hands. He said I was just a prune. And then he swam out of his hands. He finally, did it himself, got off his hands, and he watched him and sat up with him all night. And I'm like, oh, dude, but what if he had a croaked on you, right? Like, that would break your heart, right? And, dedication to the hobby isn't necessarily that. Dedication to the hobby, like, I'm all about water quality. Right? And everyone's like, why? Because it was the truest thing BRS ever said. This hobby is more about your water. And if you have good water, it should lead to everything else. And then I went, well, not fully true. Because if you got bad habits with rock or bad habits with quarantine, that water ain't going to matter at all. You can have the cleanest water on the planet, and it's not going to matter. Excuse me. So that's where I love streams like Rico streams or, Paul's Reefing Community Worldwide there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I appreciate the respect I've been given. And it's been, I guess I earned it a little because people watch my videos and said, no, you're not completely full of crap. You know what I mean? Which is helpful, right? So I put videos up about what I've learned and what I do, right? And that's the trick, is that to know that there are different ways to do it. Yes, there is. That's the big one. There are different ways to do this. But like the UV sterilizer thing, man, you want to argue with people? And everyone's like, well, what's he do? Who was it? Somebody was exclusive. That's why I was laughing when you said that about people who don't want to listen. You can't change out all your water. You take out all your bacteria. There's no bacteria in the water. No, there is. No, there isn't. You know what I mean? Don't argue about a point that you're absolutely wrong on. Go look it up, right? All of your bacteria is basically on the surfaces, right? It's in the rock. It's in the sand. It's on the glass.
Unless he just barely dumped bacteria in the water. But it's supposed to cultivate rock, sand.
On the rock,
media.
On media, right? So that's why I have
carbon,
so much.
Anything.
Yep, anything can do it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the marine pure thing, right? I tell people, like, if you want to have, and I was telling that because Lisa's going to start her tank, hopefully in the next few weeks, actually. I was looking at a refractometer today. My local fish store guy got them in. They're $36. And they're fairly good quality. Not bad at all, right? Hey, what's going on, Tom?
I bought mine, honestly, from Amazon for $20. So and it's been doing fine the whole time. Now, I did buy a Milwaukee, but I got it for $30.
That's not bad.
No, I mean, typically it's $100, and the guy's like, it works great.
Yeah.
Here's the calibration fluid. Here's this. Here's that. I'm just getting out of the hobby. Do you need anything else? And he just barely broke down to like 200 and something tank. He's like, I had everything here. He's just, it takes so much of my time every day. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, and I've seen that. That's heartbreaking when you see it too. A guy who really still wants to be doing it, but just can't anymore, right? But I'm going to pick her up that refractometer, and I'm going to give her my Aqua Clear 70, brand new one I got.
That's nice of you, man.
And pack it up because I still got the box, so I actually can box everything back up for her. send her that up. And I got to get a hold of Ray and kind of gross him out because you said he was going to help her, and he hasn't.
Tom can jump in. Do you have the link? I didn't get it because
I should still have it here. Try this paste. Nope, that is not what we want. Abort.
Oh, that way Tom can try to get in because I had so much problems. Maybe he has better luck than I did. If he wants to jump in. Well, he said he just dropped off the kids. Who knows if he's probably still driving back home.
Might be. Try that to get in, bud. See if it works for you. If you want to get in.
Yeah, no, this hobby it's so crazy because you're right. The water quality, bar none. It definitely is.
It's a good foundation to be on. Right. Be on that first.
It's one of the highest things I think in that list. And that's where the RODI and mixing your own salt and other thing come in.
Yep. Yeah. You know what's funny? You say that.
Hey, what's up, Tom?
Hey, Tom. And I got to say this. So Rodder was only using a 3-stage RO.
That's why. Get a 4-stage at least, 5-stage.
And I said to him, he goes, well, he says to me, and this is where I got to say, I want to swear at this point, right? And I said to him, I said,
but that's Steve though, man. He once he has his mindset on something, he goes.
Yeah, he's like a pit bull about it. Yeah, right. And I said to him, I said, listen, I said, awesome. Even though I said, you're saying to me, well, I only have 2 TDS on my outgoing water. And I said, yeah, but Steve,
what's in that? What's in that 2
TDS? It could be silicates. It could be really bad stuff, right? Yeah, and I said, I know it's an infinitesimal number, 2 parts per million. I said, but that 2 parts per million in a X amount of water space over a given amount of time then turns into. I said, would you be scared or more frightened if it was 100 parts per million? And he goes, well, yeah, definitely. I said, well, that's probably what it is in your tank by now, if not more. Right? I said, so you got to stay in that frame of mind that you need to provide the cleanest water you can before you even start. I said, because if you can do that, then the other stuff is easier to deal with, right? And his algae outbreak, the first thing I said is, what are you using for water? Right? And he's like, oh, I use RO. I said, you don't use RODI anymore?
Yeah, he doesn't have DI.
Right? I said, guaranteed that's where it's coming from. And when his urchins were dying, and we were talking
about is his water source a well?
Nope, city water. He's in New York.
City water?
Yep.
Is it chloramines or chlorine?
In New York, I have not checked, but I think it's chloramines, which means that he's really dealing with. Yeah.
Yes, Dave just said that they switched. So, yes, he would probably need at least a 5-stage with 2 blocks.
Eventually, yeah. You'll burn through DI. That's the problem.
Yeah, and he'll still burn through some DI. Right. What's up, Tom? Jump in, man.
Tom? Yep, exactly. Get to quibbling.
Yeah. I just put on some brews, so waiting for the coffee.
Oh, nice.
Woke up an hour ago.
We just had ours. I'll probably go to bed in a little bit, but
yeah, unfortunately, Tom's going to get caught in. They were tired.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm tired too.
Right?
So Tom, you want to hear my acclimation story? Why it's called "When the Best of Acclimating Intentions Go Wrong"?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So you know how I've been dealing with that family issue and driving and just been gone a bit here in the last few weeks.
Yeah,
I got up today, went up to Fredericton, so it's been an hour north of me, and we're emptying out the truck, the last little bit of stuff. We're almost done. I even switched where I was going to drop off the trailer. Blah, 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 and we're good. And I said, I'm going to the local fish shop. And I picked up a Bengay cardinal and a little blue tuxedo urchin the size of the end of my thumb. I'll get him on video. Everyone's going to go, oh, he's so cute. I guarantee it. He's so small. And I bought 2 coral. I caved and bought coral. And I come home, and they were in the bag 4 hours while we were finishing this loadout. And when I got home, it was about 4 hours. That's good. That's fine. Got him into the tank to temp acclimate, ate, and instead of going back to finish, fell asleep. And the wife fell asleep, so she couldn't wake me up to say, honey, you got to do the acclimation. So I get up, and it's 4 more hours. So now the fish have been in the bag almost 8 hours. And I'm like, oh, crap. So I literally had to pinch the bags off above the livestock about an inch above, like, give them an inch of water, dump the rest out because it's just toxic at this point. It's that long, and do a quick and dirty acclimation as fast as I can without killing them. And the corals basically got dip. Here you go. Right. If I'm going to dip them, what's the difference anyway? I'm abusing the crap out of them. Right. The fish is okay. He made out okay. The cardinal. So the tuxedo urchin, I said, I'm going to take longer and this is coming back to rotter tube with his tuxedos that kept dying on him. I said, how long are you acclimating them? He goes, 30 minutes. That's not long enough. Right. Starfish, urchins, certain starfish, not all of them, but like phromias and linkias, you got to do like 3-4 hours, man. You can't.
Really? I never done that, and I never have anything die off.
Yeah, it's a chronic thing over here. I think it's hard to say why, but it seems to be a chronic thing with killing starfish.
I've had other reefers kill even cleaner shrimp.
Yeah,
they just try to dump them in straight into their tanks.
Yeah, I got home from my LFS. Just took my hand in the bag, pick up starfish and a cleaner shrimp, and just put them right in the tank, and it's still alive.
Yeah. You must have really close parameters to
really close
LFS then.
Yeah, you have the same water and the same salinity.
That would be it. So if you were...
There's the temperature is the difference.
Yeah, so if you temp acclimate, you can dump across, right? Whereas here, my salt is usually 25.
The salinity is a huge difference.
Yeah, and theirs is 26. Now, I can get away with the dump. And everyone said, why? I said, because my salinity is lower. So the more sensitive creatures, I still got to be careful. But fish, they don't care. That's not going to give them osmotic shock, right? So the trick is I was drip acclimating this urchin. I'm going to give him 2 hours. Totally zoned on. I had him in the not in the sump hanging in the bag. I had him in the main tank, which is already at the top in the bag. So the water only took 10 minutes to start flowing out of the top of the bag and over the side of the tank. Right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm too tired to be doing this. Right?
I go to bed.
So anyway, he's fine. I put him on a rock. I went looking for him there about an hour ago, and he's off and running. So hopefully he survives.
Sign. Yeah, so that's a great sign, though.
If it's not flopping around, it will survive. So
yeah. If I saw an urchin flopping around, that's a sign of the apocalypse, buddy.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
Yeah, if he's trying to get the F out of Dodge, something's wrong, right?
Your tank is fungus.
Yeah, you got issues, buddy. So, there you go, Bubby. You'll get a kick out of this. So, I got a buddy of mine. He was freaking about trying to get Cooper's Orb. He had treated some tank, his QT, and he wanted to get rid of it, and he couldn't find any. I said, "Well, you got DI resin?" Yeah. I said, "Okay." I said, "You got a bag to waste?" And he went, "Sort of, I guess." I said, "Do you
I've
have
actually heard people of throwing in DI directly into
DI resin, put it in a nylon, a woman's nylon from the dollar store, pack it into a filter, and run it in the tank for about 6-7 hours." Right? I said, "No, clean it out." "No, it won't." "Yes, it will. It's the same stuff." I said, "The only difference is that color changes color." Right? Oh, and you can't recharge it. Cooper's Orb, you can technically recharge.
Yeah. I've heard of it. I would personally, because I have such small tanks, I would never attempt it.
You would have you'd have to use a very low pass filter, and you would have to put like 2 teaspoons in or something, right? Like
something super small.
Really super small, right?
Because it's such a strong.
And somebody's like, "Well, what's it do?" "Oh, you can strip everything out with DI resin. You can take the good, the bad, and the ugly out."
There's a reason why they call it nuclear grade. If people really pay attention to that.
Yeah, they don't. They don't understand that DI resin was invented to clean out the water after a nuclear explosion.
Right. That's what why people really paying attention to what that label says.
Yeah, do you not understand that the military has led to many great things in the hobby, right? Why? Because it was invented for a reason, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
No, my grandmother's place. I unfortunately did have. I'm not feeling well, and I know it's because I was dealing with that apartment and the 10 years of dust and smoke built up. Right, and I'm a smoker. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not out to degrade. But if you can't clean anymore, you almost should smoke outside, right? But it wasn't that she didn't clean. It was she wouldn't open the window. She was agoraphobic, so she feared crowds and people. And she lived on the ground. I don't know why she took a ground floor apartment then, but she was on the ground floor on Yonge Street in Halifax, which used to be really busy. So she didn't like keeping the window open because people might hear me.
Yeah.
Right?
Or she can hear them. That's enough for her.
That's
to
enough for
start
her.
Like
You
a
got
panic
it.
attack. Yeah.
Oh, and it's like, Nanny, but if you don't open the windows, you have no air exchange in your house. And she's like, okay.
Talking about air exchange, and I could ask the both of you about this.
Sure.
Where do you guys have your pH at? With just like out of
do a quick check.
Randomness.
Yeah, give me tell you what, I'm gonna go get a coffee. I'll grab my new pinpoint pH checker, and I'll check my pH for you right now on my main.
Cool.
And I'll check in my 20 because that's the farthest run for the airline. So I have an airline actually running teed into my main airline going outside.
Okay.
So I'll tell you in just a sec. All right.
I figure we're talking about air quality and stuff since you're talking about nano. But
no, that's a good question.
Might as well talk about it.
Might as well talk about it on a fish related topic, right?
Yeah, we're already there.
All right.
It's all good.
Let's see here.
Tom's not messing around. What you got there, Tom?
My pH in the big tank is 8.7 and in the nano 8.6.
Whew. Yeah, high pH.
Yeah, I got the Coral Plus Pro salt I'm changing over.
You're changing over to it, or you have a new salt coming?
I used that salt and I'm changing over to the blue bucket.
Oh, good. That's
because that was so elevated, the purple one. So, oh my god, the KH was about 8, 9 between there.
So yeah, you know the crazy part. Well, I was working at LFS for about 3 months before he retired. The owner, he'd been in the industry for 30 years.
Yeah.
That Pro, man, it's too rough on most nanos. It's not that you can't use them. It's just if you have sensitive coral, it will kill them because you get these spikes.
Yeah.
So,
and the Pro is sick.
Yeah,
but I only mix it once. I never. I don't really do water changes that much.
Oh, okay.
I do maybe once.
You just been dosing
once a month when I clean the sump.
Oh, okay. Good.
Because I use Triton, so I don't need that much water change.
Nice. I didn't know you were doing Triton.
Yeah, I've been doing Triton both in the nano tank.
You're doing the Core 7?
Yeah. Oh, that's the recommended one to do.
Yeah.
The other Triton method is for more advanced users.
For me, I guess because like the Triton to me is the same as doing pretty much like the balling method or doing even 2-part. You're still dosing.
But the Triton is more stable.
It's right. And that's what I do like about it. I would never start a tank on Triton though. And I know that sounds really weird, but the only reason I say that is because the extra elements that are being put into the system, there's nowhere for them to really go. There's nothing absorbing it.
Wait a couple of weeks.
Right. So I mean, I don't know if
my normal start off the tanks. Then I do Triton.
Yeah. Since we're talking about that, so does Triton tell you to wait before starting it? In any of their literature, I've never looked it up.
I think it said if you look up at the web pages, you have to wait until the tank can get established. Do the method. Because when you just starting up the tank, you have no use for any elements at all.
No, nothing at all.
The fish don't need it, and the stone don't need it.
No, nothing needs it.
So you can start with the Triton when you have start to put into corals and stuff.
Right. So it's primarily to start using the Triton when you have coral in the system already.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You can have a corals in a week, then you have to start dosing.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The SPS starts eating up it, then you have to refill it.
Yeah, I'm glad you switched to the blue bucket or the blue bag because that one's a lot lower.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Way lower.
Huge difference. So, I just ordered when I got home here. It's went on the webpage and ordered it.
Dude, I've had before that Coral Pro be up to 14 alkalinity.
Yeah.
DKH.
Super high.
14, okay? And I'm no joke, like 14 on a fresh batch. I was just like, what?
That would strip everything.
And normally the blue's between 8 and 9 most of the time.
Yeah.
Only a few times I've heard it being over 9, a couple times. But the cool part is they still give you the little card that tells you what the batch was at. So that's good.
But I think it gets more stable when I switch over to the blue one.
Yeah.
Do a couple of water changes to get the parameters down.
You know the good part though too, like you'll be doing the water changes. It's not like you're changing brands. Like you're not changing a Tropic Marin or Fridge or something else, right? So it's harder on the system when you're doing a full change with a different, chemistry and the water. Yeah. But since you're using the same salt and they're using the same stuff in the factory, they're just not adding the extra elements.
No, exactly.
You're just lowering. It's going to be easier for your system, to kind of adjust.
And I'm happy about the system actually, because for the first time since I started saltwater a couple of years ago, I have SPS that is encrusting and growing.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Because every time I bought SPS before, it just stripped. Took a week and it was dead.
Yeah.
But now I actually have some stony corals and they are live. I'm happy.
And I only have a couple stony. I have one, and I'm gonna probably try acro though. I'll be honest, I want to give him a shot, see what happens.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that as well.
I'm I should do it. It's already the system's been up for a year, and you see my tank. It's not. Yeah. I've been doing pretty good with it. So
your tank is so nice.
Yeah, mine's 7.9.
Oh, okay. So yours is like mine.
Yeah, it might go up a bit during the day, but I think it just stays consistent there because of the airlines, right? So
yeah. Tom's at actually 8.6 and 8.7.
Yeah,
high.
Very a little high. Little.
Yeah, so just a little. 8 is good. 8.2, 8.3 is good.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's the part we were talking about, and everybody talks about chasing numbers being a bad habit.
Yeah.
To a degree, right? I mean, chasing alk and chasing pH is a bad habit.
Oh yeah, that's why I was bringing it up since we were talking about air.
Yeah, I don't chase it.
Air quality.
It's not worth it. You can nuke tank faster than you can blink with that shit.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
No, I don't chase any numbers. I just do my thing, and the tank. If it's happy, it's happy.
Exactly. Right. People. I don't know. Somebody said, what's it like to get in the hobby? It sucks. Don't do it.
It costs you a fortune. Everything dies.
I've had, and trust me, if you knew the name of this person, everyone would be like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. But it was a reefer that was on for before you guys came on with Enrico's.
Yeah.
And constantly asking people about how do I get my pH higher? How do I get my pH higher? How do I get my pH higher?
Yeah.
And then he decided to buy a reactor with the media to try to take out. Yep. So he bought the media, and I'm like, that media is like $40-something for a small bucket, and you have to fill that up every couple days. Why would you do that? I just wanted to see if it worked. Well, yes, it does work, but are you willing to pay $50 in media every single month to keep your pH at 8.0 or 8.1?
I did a video. I don't know, and I'll probably do it again. And I have the bottles here. Reef filter, reef buff. No, hold on. I got it right here. Hold on. I should be able to reach it. Hold on. Don't knock off your headphones. Reef buffer. Okay. So ready for this? I'm going to tell you what it says on the bottle. People go buy this shit here.
Is the reef buffer the Kent one?
Yeah. No, Sea Chem.
C-Chems, where it's like it's only 8.2 or something?
8.3, right?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
And it literally says right on here, raises pH and alkalinity, right? Yeah. So it will buff your alkalinity, and it's hard as a rock now. Hear
it? Yeah.
Right? You can tell I don't use it, right? So,
yeah.
Anyway, the guy goes, well, what is it? I said, it's sodium bicarbonate.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, okay, so where do I get that? I said, you go down, you buy a box of Farm and Hammer baking soda, right? I said, put it in the oven in a tray, right? Bake it for an hour and a half at 350 degrees, stir it, bake it for another 30 minutes. I said, and you're done. Let it sit and cool. What? I went, yeah, you're taking sodium carbonate, and when you bake it like that, you turn it into bicarbonate.
Yep.
Anyway, he's like, okay. I said, and I wouldn't do it if I were you. Right? I said, because the minute you do that and you're relying on a chemical, I said, to do what you want naturally done, I said, think about what I just said and what's going to happen. I said, one, either you're going to become reliant and you can't get anything right without it. I said, but more conversely, you're going to end up making your tank like a toxic environment because you're just dumping chemical after chemical. I said, you know, 2-part dosing is one thing. You know, there's certain things in the hobby where it's a little different than just doing that. It's more, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Fucking stop being stupid.
Oh,
Yeah.
That
You know, that's it. Just sit down and think about it.
They're not the same as actually. I guess chemically, yes, they're the same. So somebody can debate that with me all day. But
on a chemical level, they're the exact same.
The exact same. Correct.
Application is different.
Right. And I would never use that to supplement or try to feed my coral just because I want my pH to be high.
Well, you know what we all say? Nothing good in this hobby happens fast.
Right? No. That's what I say to people as well when they got something that is ill or sick or got ick or something. Leave your system alone. It will take care of it by itself.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I have to treat it. I have to do that. No, you will kill everything else if you treat it.
Right.
Leave it alone, get the UVC, and it will treat itself.
You got it. And you know what's funny? You say that, Tom. Saltwater Jeff's got ick, that beautiful 175 of his.
Yeah.
And he asked, you know, what to do. And I said, well, you got 2 options, really, just 2. I said, you can support the fish and hope it cure, you know, goes away. I said, but remember, it's never really gone. But
it's never gone.
It's never gone, right? I said, but I said, if you want it gone, you have the only option is remove the fish from the system, remove the food source.
Yeah.
I said, follow the tank for 90 days and treat your fish. And you have to treat the fish.
Yeah.
And I hate these people that go, I just put them in quarantine. Everything took care of itself.
Yeah.
What?
But then you chase them and lift them back in the tank again, and they get stressed, they get ick again.
Right. So you have to treat them, right? Or even if it's tank transfer, whatever it is, you got to do to make sure that the fish are ick free before you put them back. Because if one guy's got it, just one guy, guess what? It's back in your system. Yeah. And he said, well, how did I get it? I went, and well, I said, as anecdotal as this is, what did you recently add? 50 snails. That's where it came from.
Yeah. And if you got a blue tank, you got ick.
Yeah. Well, mine's in there. Right, yeah.
The blue tank always has ick, no matter what.
They're magnets, man. Huge magnets.
They develop themselves.
Yeah. They get stressed out for everything.
Well, they say that that's actually, Tom, you're right. There's a study now that's saying that certain tanks, blue, you know, Pacific Blues being one of them, that it's in their gut flora for months.
Yeah.
They're saying it's kind of anecdotal at this point, though, right? There's no real hard research, but there is a guy doing it. And if he proves that, that changes the ballgame, which comes now to the way that I treat ick, which is I use copper, right? But I also use ick shield with the fish. And you can only get them buggers to eat that once, by the way. Once. But apparently, if you do it at the right stage, which is before the white spots come back, so you got to wait for your trophin stage. I think I got that right. When there's free swimming, it's the trophin stage. I'd have to go back and look.
To the bottom.
Yeah, so they go down, and what you're waiting for is the outbreak again, where it's going to attack the fish. So you have to have your temperature right and everything, and that's what I'm like. I'm nuts. And the minute that they hit, give or take about 3 days after the spots come off, usually that's when they're back out attacking the fish again. That's when you feed them the ick shield, because what'll happen is they'll attack the fish, and they won't get a chance in the internal to really nail them. And it doesn't help with killing them. It just makes the fish internally unsatisfying to them, and you shorten the stage. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
And then I support them with Hex Shield, which they do like to eat.
Yeah.
But you can't put that in your tank. I watched a guy dump an ick shield food into his tank. It's full of copper.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
what I
like-
was talking about in the stream last night.
Yeah.
Whoops.
When they said that my blue tank got ick. Yeah, he got ick, but it's going much better now. The spots are gone, and he's just got a little bit of itch now. I said, take him out and treat him. So I'm never going to take him out. But first of all, I will stress him out, and we'll get ick, and I will lower his mucus membrane. So just leave him alone, give him good feeding, and we have his healthy and happy, and the mucus will come back, and we got good shield.
Yeah, you kind of what you're doing is you're playing that, and that's the support side. Support the fish.
Yeah.
If you want it gone, and I think we can all agree, there's no argument here. There's only one way: get them all out, treat them, and fallow that tank. You got to kill the ick in the tank, and then you got to make sure the ick's dead in the fish. And everyone's like, "Well, how do you do that?" You treat the fish.
You have to treat them. Yep.
You got to, and you got to do it therapeutically. And somebody said, "What's that?" Do not put copper up to 22 right away, 0.22. I said, you got to ease up to it. So it's going to take you 2 weeks to get there. And then you got to do 2 weeks of full strength. I said, and then you can just leave it to peter its way out and then do a massive water change after 6 weeks, like about 50%, and start cleaning up the water again. And somebody's like, well, that seems like a lot of work. Well, you shouldn't have gotten the hobby.
But you can't use copper in the system because you will kill the corals.
You'll kill the coral.
Yep.
Well, kill any any invertebrate.
Yeah, and you kill a stone as well.
Invertebrate, right? Anything, right? So your coral will die. Your snails will die. Everything that's got no backbone will be dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's
So-
why I don't use any kind of medication.
Yeah, only in a
This is-
quarantine. That's what we're talking about
Exactly.
here. Right? But my favorite's the snake oil salesman. Oh, I use cordon ick. Works like a charm. No, it doesn't. You just dump formaldehyde in your tank.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
that's
You
why I
know,
use the UVC. It will destroy them one by one in a matter of months.
Yeah, you know what? You may not see the damage for the first 6 months, but all of a sudden everything's dying, and you're like, "Whoa, something new happened."
Yeah.
What did you do 6 months ago? Like you gotta-
Exactly.
you
have to plan
dealing
ahead.
with some stuff again that it's nothing good happens quick, folks. Bad stuff happens really fast, right?
Yeah.
I go
You
out
gotta
and check my
manage
tank at night. Do you know how many people don't go out and look at their tank at night? It's like, why aren't you doing that? Well, there's
fun.
nothing to see. And I said, oh, yes, there is. There's
there's
lots
plenty
to
to
see
see.
at night.
A red flashlight and you see a lot of creepers.
You sure
Yeah.
can. And you'll find out, hey, look who's eating your coral. Who's that guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's
you
I
know.
did that a couple of
Making
times.
that mess.
But I never ever found a bristleworm in my tank. Never.
It's good.
No bristles? Well,
no,
you know,
not
that's,
a single one. I checked every rook and everything a few nights in a row. Nothing.
well, let's get to quibbling here because I don't think they're a bad thing. My wife can't handle them.
No, they're good, but when they get too big, they eat fish.
Well, it depends on the worm, right? You got to remember, and if you look this up, Tom, you'll be there all day because that's what happened to me. I think there's something like 2,500 varieties.
Yeah.
Right, and then that's not even counting flatworms. Now, flatworms are a whole other ballgame. Let's face it. We've seen if you watch my videos at all, you've seen my flatworm experience. That would make you cry.
Yeah.
Bristleworms are many kinds. They're a good one. They eat all the crap.
Yeah, but the bristleworms are detritivores, right? You want them, right? But the problem is you're thinking of it as like when you get a bobbit worm or you get a fireworm. Right?
Yeah, fireworms are bad, and
Fireworms
are
bad, right? If you get a 6-foot worm in your tank, yeah, that's a problem
No shit.
because there's not enough goddamn
You're
food
like, check,
for them.
check out that bobbit worm.
I got a new eel.
Yeah.
I said to one guy, like my wife, it doesn't matter if it's a centimeter or if it's a meter. And for Bubba, it doesn't matter if it's a quarter of an inch or it's, 3 feet. It doesn't matter to her. And she freaks and she does all that. Oh, it's hilarious, actually. I'm like, if you're going to freak out like that, at least be in a pair of panties and a bra alone. I say, because then it'd be more entertaining for me.
Yeah,
If you're jumping and bouncing around, at least I get something out of it, right?
exactly.
It's just a worm, right? Don't touch it. Just leave it alone.
No,
right?
oh my god, it stings.
Yeah, you don't want to touch it, man.
Oh, you guys, yeah, it doesn't hurt me too bad, honestly.
It stings
I-
2 days after I get stuck by it, man.
Euphyllia sting me.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was the worst sting I got. It was my which torch was it? Naked something torch. I can't remember the name off the head. I lost him. No, Pink Tip. That was it. Naked Pink Tip, which is really a funny name for a torch. But anyway, so his color was very almost like a light pink beige, and the tips were bright pink, right? And gorgeous torch, right? 3 heads. He grew another head while I had him in there. And I was doing something in my old 45, and my hand was next to him, and he was touching my wrist. And he was only touching me for maybe half a minute while I was doing something. And all of a sudden, you know, I've cleaned up. I did everything. I was done. I was sitting there, and like my wrist just started to burn. And I'm like, what the heck? And I look at it, and you could just see all the striations where the stingers had touched me.
Oh,
and I had welts. Yeah. And I'm like, wow,
that's
really?
bad.
So I went.
I can never feel anything about those.
Yeah. So I just took Benadryl. It went away. Right. And I'm like, well, good to know. Right.
Yeah. Because I held my NEMs and everything else in my hand. I can feel them sting me because they get sticky and they get stuck to my hand. But I can't get any rash or anything.
No, see, you're lucky, right? You just don't have a reaction. I got to keep the wife out of the tank because she's allergic to bee stings.
Yeah, that's it. I'm too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the most part, I told her most things shouldn't hurt you, but where she doesn't keep an EpiPen in the house because really it's one of those things I told her we should, but she just keeps forgetting we got to go. It's $110 for one now too, right?
Yeah.
So I told her we'll get one this summer because we had a couple of incidents where, yeah, it was a close call. We were driving along and a bee came in, hit me in the head through the open window on the car, and then flew straight at her and just missed her face and went out the other window.
Oh,
and
wow.
that could have been bad right there, right? Like, you know, stung in the face. You know, that would have been just horrendous, right? But I told her, I said, that fox face in there, I said, if he ever stung you, you would be in so much trouble.
Yeah, the only thing I got really bad hurt by is when my blue tang stung me. Oh man, it hurt a week after.
Your blue tang?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean when he cut you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it hurt.
Yeah.
The whole week after, I was swollen and the bone hurt and everything.
Yeah, you know why? Because you got an infection from it.
Yeah, God, it hurt.
Yeah, somebody asked me about that. I said, do you know why, if you have a saltwater tank, if you tell your doctor that, the next thing he'll say is if you ever get sick and you end up in the ER, let them know you have a saltwater fish tank.
Yeah.
Because there are certain things they'll go looking for, protozoans, amoebas, and stuff like that, that only, well, you know what? Shark attack. Like I want to talk about sharks, but anyway. The funny thing with them, if you get bit and you live through it, like, you know, if it's, as I like to call it, you got tasted, right? If you it isn't blood loss that usually ends up being the big killer if you survive the initial attack.
It's bacteria.
It's bacteria in their mouths. Yeah. You end up with gas gangrene, like instantaneously you're septic.
Yep.
You know, so you didn't get killed by the shark, but the bacteria killed you.
Yeah. They ain't the cleanest fish in the world.
Nope, they're not. You know, they don't give a shit either. They'll just look at you. Yeah, I don't use a toothpick. What of it, asshole? You know,
you are my toothpick.
You are my toothpick. Yeah.
They just lose it, so I don't care.
No,
we should have the same thing here. Just get the new one.
I actually had a new respect for Gordon Ramsay, and not that he needs a lot, but you know, the cook Gordon Ramsay. I watched him having an utter conniption fit about shark finning, and he literally got kicked out of, I forget which country it was, but they escorted him to the airport and get on a plane.
Wow.
Because he was losing his shit about it. Like he's looking at these fins, and he stopped and he looked at one and he goes, "This is a great white shark." Right? I mean, the guy was schooled enough. He actually knew that fin, right? He goes, "You caught a great white shark and you cut its, you know, and the fins and start flying, right?
And threw it back
in the ocean."
Yep.
They're endangered. Right? You know, and you can see this fisherman in this third world country just looking at him like, and you know, like, oh no, like, you know, you knew somebody was going to lose it then because he just started going, that's tiger shark. He's just going through them, right? And then the one he really freaked out about, which is the thresher. That's the one with that really long tail fin, right? They're not rare, but they're pretty rare now, right? And he saw the fins, and he went ape shit, and that's it. They just scored him out of the country.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
People don't understand about 200 million sharks a year are getting finned. You can't do that to an apex predator and expect things to go well.
You need them to keep the ocean clean.
I said, look, tiger sharks. I said, they're all fascinating. The tiger shark's the one that gets me. They found one with a tire in its gut. This is not a smart shark, but he's smart enough to know where to get food, right? But I mean, he still ate a tire.
The worst thing about tiger sharks is that they are freshwater as well.
They're saying they're not sure now. They knew they might do brackish. They don't think they do fresh, but they think
I was thinking about the bull shark. Sorry.
Yeah, bull shark's the scary bastard.
I was thinking about the bull shark.
Yeah, they found them they find them everywhere. They call them Zambezi sharks in Indonesia.
They lay all the kids in the freshwater.
Mm-hmm. They sure do. They are a nasty customer, man, and they're tough. And
they eat everything.
Like I said to one guy, I don't care. I may go in the St. John River, and I may know that the water is only 34 degrees. I don't care. Don't care. He could be there, and it'd be my unlucky ass that got bit.
Right. It could happen.
But it's the ocean is. The one thing we and the wife watched Chasing Coral. Have you guys seen this yet?
Oh yeah, it's a sad documentary.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was the event was sad enough, but it was watching the guy who's a scientist, but he's also a reefer. And the guy's in tears. That should tell you something, how bad it was.
Oh, yeah.
When he couldn't go down and they had to force him, he's like, I can't keep watching this, right? And it's like, you try and tell people, it's like, it isn't us raiding the reef. It's everyone else. And the pollution and what's going on, or not. Well, I said to one guy, here's the problem. We don't fully understand what's going on as a species, right? What's happening to the planet. I said to one guy, global warming, that could be happening naturally. I said, but we're not helping. No, I said, polluting the living crap out of the planet is still hurting it.
We're speeding up the process.
Yeah, we're just speeding it up, right? So instead of everything adjusting accordingly, I said, look, if you look it up, there was a Time magazine article back in '73. The next ice age is coming. And they were positive, right? You know what I mean? Like, just positive. And of course,
there's a potential for it. From what scientists are saying, because we are,
it's happened twice. We've already had it happen twice.
Yeah.
Right? And somebody's
I've been saying that. That's why the weather is so
it's crazy
bad right now, because the Earth is kicking back.
Well, we're going through another transition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bad.
You know what I mean? It's going to go through, we're going to do this. I said it was probably dinosaur farts that caused the first one. You know what I mean? Who knows, right?
Gases, yeah.
Big gas change.
I said, and then the next one happened. That's why we had woolly mammoths up until 15,000 years ago? And they think now they may even been around as little as 1,200 years ago, because they found one that there was still flesh on it. Right?
They found one in ice that was complete.
And there was one, you know what I mean? So they're sitting there now going, So, somebody goes, well, what do you mean? How can you be a skeptic? I said, no. I said, you misunderstand. I'm not saying there's no such thing as global warming. You'd be foolish to think there's not something going on. It's the cause. I said, that's the problem. I said, we're so quick to blame ourselves. I said, because we do things that do cause a problem. We pollute the planet. Number one, just go from that point of view. I said, where it gets silly is like, you need me to separate my garbage into 5 different types of garbage?
Right, with recycling.
So tell me how that's helping. And they're like, well, you're doing this and it does that. I said, okay. So the processing side on the other end here where the garbage goes, have you looked into that? And they're like, right. I said, if you want to cry, I said, go over. I think it's in Belgium. It's either Belgium or it's somewhere. I'm not really sure. And Tom, you might know, where they process the old cell phones.
Oh, I actually don't know, because we do it in Sweden.
Do you do it yourselves in Sweden?
Yeah, we take care of all the garbage.
I think then it may be you guys too that are doing Britain, because it was a Panorama documentary, and they were showing it, and it's great that they do that. But I was watching the smokestacks going, Has anybody even looked into what's coming out of them? You know
In
what I
this
mean?
country,
Like
we do. They check all the smoke.
they do it, yeah. So
Yeah.
you
They are
got to
freaking out about everything here.
exactly. But if you think about it here, it's like you take compost. Do you know how toxic compost is?
Yes. It's gases.
It's gases, guys. Extreme amounts.
Yeah.
Right? I said, so you're sitting there doing that in your backyard. You don't realize you're probably contributing to greenhouse.
Yeah.
Well, it's natural. No, it isn't. Animals don't pile up all their carcasses.
That's why we have changed our systems here, because when we burn up all of our garbage here, we have it in a closed environment. So we turn it up and we burn it up and we throw it back into the buildings as heat.
Yes. Yeah. Thermal. Yeah.
Thermal heating.
Yeah. Thermal heating.
So nothing gets to waste anymore.
Yeah.
But, and that's just it. We have to start approaching this logically. And the problem is that in my country and in the U.S., where it's kind of an issue, is the Bible thumping that's going on again. And it's like, listen, I'm not against religion. I'm not going to tell you what to believe. But as an atheist, I said to one person, can you leave me alone? I said, I don't need to believe what you believe to care about something. Right? And the topic became this and that. And I said, the only thing I truly believe is that any religion that's fundamental has that in the title. So whether you're an Islamic fundamentalist or a Baptist fundamentalist, that's bad. I said, because what's the difference between, okay, so you don't like that this Islamic blah, blah, blah blew up this place. Right. I said, so what about the Baptist guy that blew up the abortion clinic?
Yeah.
What? I said, that goes on all the time. I said, now it's kind of hidden in the news again, but I said, there was a rash in the 90s, and you might, I don't know how old you are, Bubba, but you might remember.
Where
they were killing the doctors. They were shooting the doctors in the parking lot. What the hell, man? What makes you think how do you think you're not a terrorist? Well, it's only this one, thing we're doing. I said, well, guess what? That's all they think they're doing. Right? I said, I'm not saying they're right. In no way, shape, or form. I'd shoot them in the head any day of the week if I could still hold a sniper rifle steady. Right? But, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not, you think the problem is this. I said, it's not. It's a fundamental problem overall. I said, so if you come to my country, why is it that we have to change for you? If it was so great where you were and you want to keep doing this kind of thing, why didn't you stay there? That's where the discussion has to start. I don't care if you come to my country. Canada is loaded with immigrants, right? And that's perfectly fine. That's how our country is bolstered up and we have the population we have.
Right.
But there's the basic things that become one a long time ago, guys. I mean, I'm dating the hell out of myself here, but back in the 80s, there was a Sikh community in Alberta, and the child was trying to go to school with the ceremonial dagger on his hip that was 7 inches long. And Canada, like, absolutely no. Sorry, no. You can wear it when you go to your service of whatever it is, but you may not carry this to school, right? Because the temptation's there. That's all it is, right? You're free to do what you want, but there has to be some limits. It goes the other way. What if every Catholic said we have to carry a gun? You'd stop us in a heartbeat. You know what I mean?
That was the same thing when I talked about an ignorant American a while back. He hated all the immigrants and everything else that was foreign to America. But I told him what America built was foreigners.
Yeah.
Every Swede and every Norwegian and everything else. We built your country. You have to like foreigners because you are foreigners.
So they don't get about people fighting that.
The Native Americans, they're the real Americans.
Well, the one that was really sad for me was and not to harp on America, but you are way more xenophobic in the U.S. than most other countries. But what was I going to say? Oh, there was this guy, and he's of Irish descent, right?
Yeah.
And he's going on about Muslims in general, and real venom and hate. You could hear it. I said, you know what's funny? I said, you have a short memory. I said, or you don't know your history. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, there was a time that your people, the Irish, were almost beat right out of the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
right?
New York and everything. Yep.
New York and Boston, they literally were murdering your people. They wanted you out because they said that you brought disease and famine and all that crap with you, right?
Yeah.
His defense, well, America was more ignorant back then. I said, I beg to differ.
It's no different.
It's no different. I said,
it's no different than it was.
hate is
then.
hate. Hate is hate.
I'm sorry. I know this is topic. It's starting to go towards a lot of different stuff other than reefing, but
well, it's always going to do that.
Clearly,
you can't keep a stream straight.
Oh no, I know that. What I'm referring to is that like right now with the president we have, it's kind of tough to get things back on track. I feel like
he clouds the issues.
I had a clown.
I feel it's just gotten worse. I mean, I honestly,
he's an idiot.
I think with the when it
I think we all can
racism and other stuff, it's gotten actually worse.
Well, he actually got in on that platform, man. You can even agree with that, Bubba. He got in on a platform of hate.
Yeah,
he just fed
everybody.
Yeah, and it's not him. That's what everyone's like. I said, unfortunately, there's just right now, and I feel so bad for America on this front. There's just this pervasive distrust going on really bad because of the things that have been going on.
Yeah, but we have a president that feels that Twitter is the best outlet to go pick on a country that has nuclear warheads.
Let's see, he's got a wife. Yeah, his wife doesn't love him. Never holds his hand. That's the one that gets me. Wait a minute. He's walking with his wife.
Right.
He goes to hold her hand, and she pulls it away.
Yeah, she loves his money.
Right? Okay. What else? And then there's that Stormy Daniels stuff going on. If anything's going to take him down, it's going to be that, because it's going to come to light exactly how that went down for him.
But the best thing is you have a president that leads the biggest country, the strongest country in the world, but not even the own intelligence service trust him.
Nope, they don't.
The CIA hates him like fleas.
And it's because he's ignorant. He thinks he's smart. He's business smart.
Yeah,
I guess, sort of.
He's money smart.
He's gone bankrupt 3 times, but he's also shown you that I can go bankrupt and I'm still here. You know what I mean?
Well, that's because of the laws allow. There's loopholes in regards to
exactly. Well, you have enough lawyers.
Bankrupt.
I said, if you have enough lawyers, you can kill anybody you want and get away with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? You'll find a way around it, right?
I would have done it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's all about that. But it's unfortunate. And the thing is, though, and I'll bring it back to reefing on this, is how he's just signing off on stuff that affects us. Right. So NOAA wants to ban this, and this. And he's just like, okay, no science, no anything. They're just getting what they want. And the scientific advisor that he had, I think he's gone through 4.
Yeah, he's gone through a few already.
Through 4 of them, right? Yeah. Like, well, why is that happening? Because he doesn't listen to them. It's like, I'm just done with you. Like, here, I'll just do this. And they're like, well, you can't just do that. That affects a whole bunch of things, especially even economically, right? And he's like, well, whatever. They want that, I'll give it to them. Does not care what the science is behind it, right? If you came to him and told him that right now, if we build 27 new nuclear reactors around the country, we can boost birth rates. Okay, let's do it.
Go.
Go.
Yeah, there's no real thought behind it. I get, the fact that we have a Senate and the House and everything to take care of some of this stuff, but they're not doing any justice either for the normal people. So
no, and it affects you all the way down the line. It doesn't matter our hobby, and then of course our life, our taxes, all the other stuff, right? Like that idiot we got, Trudeau. Okay, his father is the most beloved prime minister of this country. Okay, if you look up Pierre Elliott Trudeau, that guy ran I think he had 4 terms of office with us.
Oh, nice.
Right? He was, he did things that Canada just went, yep, that's the dude. That's the dude we want all the time, right?
That's awesome.
Somebody said, why? Well, we had terrorists in our country, okay? They were called the FLQ, right? The Freedom to Liberation of Quebec, right? They wanted to separate separatists, right? And they decided at one point that kidnapping a public official was a good idea. Okay, and this is in the 70s. And he, if you look it up, it was Pierre Laporte. And he died the same way that soldier died that they based A Few Good Men on. They put a sock in his mouth and he bled out internally from it. And he died. And they freaked out, dumped his body. And Trudeau literally declared martial law in Quebec. They called it Black Friday, right? And he said, we're coming for all of you. And he literally did that, right? Countrywide. Martial law, we're coming now. Everybody else stay off the street, right?
Just
and it's like, you couldn't do that now, right? But back then he did it, and they gave him all kinds of hell. But you know what? There is no freedom to liberation of Quebec no more.
Yeah, it's gone.
That's what they're doing to all of them right now.
Right? So somebody said, well, what's that got to do with it? I said, well, you elected Justin Trudeau with rose-colored glasses on, expecting him to be his father. Right? The thing is that he's a spoiled, dope-smoking rich kid who cleaned up his act, and because he's as handsome as his dad was, we just put him in office. He's a dip. Right? And you're worried about he went on a trip to India? Who cares? Well, he should be working to fix my country. Well, the guy's got to have a vacation. You know? Blah, 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 right? And I'm sitting there going, and on top of that, I said, how much do you really care about what's going on? Like, what do you know about our fiscal responsibility and government? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know shit. I'd look at them. I'd look at them. Explain it to me. I don't know. That's why I elected you. You do the job. Right? But I'm not going to sit there and whine about every little thing. There's certain things that I don't agree with. But man, it seems, and I guess to circle back, we got the same problem here with them doing stuff with the fish that are just like, what do you mean it's banned? What science was behind that? That they're in the, it was a clownfish that they wanted to ban, and it's like, well, wait a minute, which clownfish? And when they said it, the whole community had to actually sign petitions to get them to stop. They are tank raised; they are not wild caught. So they almost banned the fish. Yeah, 80% of all clownfish are tank raised.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, and they started backtracking really fast, but none of this made the news, right? Why? Because it would have made them look stupid. That's like banning cigarettes because you found out they're good for you. It's like what?
That's a wild card.
Here, have a cig. Why? I'll cure that cough.
Yeah. Take a joint.
Like my favorite, it's like somebody goes, well, they keep raising prices to get you to quit. And I went, no, that's not why prices go up, honey.
Tax the shit out of it.
They tax the living shit out of it to pay for you. So when you get cancer because you don't smoke, right? I said that healthcare system's there to support you.
So crazy.
Man, people don't pay attention to that. Well, you know what? In Canada, if you're driving on the highway, you'll see signs occasionally that say your fuel tax at work. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Not kidding, right? And I said, well, if they're going to do that, there should be a sign at the hospitals that says your alcohol and tobacco tax at work.
Exactly.
Right? And when they're fixing, the water lines in the city, it should say your lottery taxes at work. Right?
But the fuel tax don't go to the roads.
It does in Canada.
Really?
The fuel taxes are, you would be surprised how much our fuel tax is. It's really crazy, actually.
I don't think it's higher than ours.
No, it probably isn't. Ours is 67%.
Yeah, I was probably up there as well.
Yeah, although none of us have a touch on Britain. Britain, the UK, oh my God.
Oh, it's out of control.
The gas station earns 10.
It's per
10
liter.
cents,
It's almost like $4. Yeah, per liter is almost $4.
Yeah, and when you think about that and translate it to gallons, that's like $12 a gallon.
You still need, what is it? Is it 3.86 or something like that?
3.86.
Our is about $2 per liter.
We're paying $1.12.
And it's all taxes, nothing else.
Yeah, it's mostly tax. And then people don't get it. That's how, I don't know why.
About summer, they raise tax anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So somebody asked me, and keep it on topic, I guess. Well, although it doesn't matter, it's just three of us in here anyway, talking about whatever the hell we want.
I'm going to jump off in a few minutes.
I think I am too. Yeah, Tom. Yeah. Sorry. I mean, it is 5:30 or 10 after 5 in the morning here. So
up late today.
Well, no, I slept for 4. That whole incident with acclimating, I had a good nap. So
you need a power nap after that one.
But it's like I'm going to do some video today in that too and get back on. So, but no, it was somebody in the U.S. going on about Obamacare. I said, why do you fear healthcare? Well, I don't fear it. Yeah, you do. I said, I don't know what your problem is. I said, look, in Canada, it isn't like you think it is. I said, if I break my leg, sure, it's covered. I don't have to worry about insurance. I said, but I'll tell you, get cancer in Canada and find out how much you have to start paying. You know, yeah, some of it's covered, but man, there's some drugs that you got to put applications in for that you might be dead before you get them.
Wow.
Right? So, you know, your system works just as well. I said, and if it's going to help people, like, but man, just the venom people have over that. And I'm like, you know, but aren't you the same guy that was just going on about Big Pharma? He's like, yeah. I said, well, you don't think HMOs are a bad idea and paid hospitals? I said, don't get me wrong. I said, I guess it means you can hold the doctors more accountable because, you know, I've had run-ins with doctors where I stood there and went, really? That you really just said that? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, you just said to me that my hernias in my stomach, in my muscle wall were caused by smoking? I said, can you justify that for me? I said, you got a Lancet paper on that? So all of a sudden my education shows up, right? And he just looked at me, right? And I said, you know what? I said, I understand you went to school for a long time. It doesn't make you the smartest person I've ever met. And he just looked at me, right? I said, just get away from me, would you? Right? And
I want a second opinion here.
And the thing is, in Canada, it's really hard to get a second opinion. Really hard. Right? Because there's not enough doctors.
No,
right?
We have the same problem here.
Well, you got to think about it. If you're on a public healthcare system, Britain's got the same problem too. And I can go to country X and make 3 times the amount of money and pay my student loans off. Yeah. I'd do it.
That's our problem because Norway pay double salary than we do, and it's just a couple of hours of ride from here.
Yeah. So, you know, when you think about it, you understand it, and that's why the States has in the weird problem they're in, because they have probably just about the best healthcare in the world if you pay for it.
Yeah, if you got money.
But if you don't have money, you are in a really sorry situation. Like, you guys ever watch Sicko? Michael Moore's documentary on the medical thing?
No.
Watch that one. So a puffer, I have a Ventolin puffer here, you know, right in front of me here. Mm-hmm. That Ventolin puffer in my country cost me $17. In the States, it's 20. I think it's 15. In Cuba, it's 2 cents.
2 cents?
2 cents. He took some 9/11 victims, firemen and stuff that had, because when those buildings came down, there were some toxic elements, and some of them got really hit hard. And there's one guy, he has emergency worker. She had a puffer, and I think it's Symbicort is what it was. I'd have to go back and watch it again. Now, in my country, it costs you about $42 a month. If you have insurance, it costs you about $2. She had no insurance. It was costing her $150 a month. She went to Cuba. It was a nickel.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's wrong.
And Michael Moore said, I'll take the brunt of the heat. And they busted him bad when he brought them back into the country. So he flew these 3 down, or they boated down and they boated back legally. They did the passport thing and everything, right? And they tried to hold all their drugs at the border, like at customs. And he said, you know, we'll take care of it. He had lawyers there ready and everything, right, to stop them, because you know how that goes with customs, right? We'll just take it and you'll never get it back. And he bought them all, I think, a year's supply. He said, and I spent $27. He goes, and if I had something like that, it's a really low number. And I
the
think
lawyer's fees were higher.
Right. Well, you know, and that's the thing. He paid all the fees, you know, to make sure this would happen for them. I think he took 10 of them down. And it was like $27 or $28 for all the drugs, and for a year, right? And when he looked at what it would have cost him for a year in the States, it makes you cry. It shouldn't be like that.
And that's because they want to make more money.
Yeah, and I get research costs money. I get it,
of course.
But how can you explain why it costs this much here and it only costs this much here? Is there a subsidy? Right? He even checked, and there wasn't. That's just what it costs there. And it's like, crazy. Wow, that's unreal. Well, you know what's really crazy, guys? We have social medicine. I think that you do in Sweden too, right, Tom?
What?
You have social medicine there, right?
Free
social
healthcare
medicine.
for everyone.
Free healthcare, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got free
So-
healthcare.
Here's the best part. You go to Britain proper, the UK, right? If you have to take a cab to the hospital and get treated, right? When you're done, you go to the cashier's office and they give you the money you paid for your cab and your cab fare to get home.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Now, in my country, you still have to pay for an ambulance.
Yeah. That's how it is here too, strangely enough.
They do that here because the ambulance service is stretched so thin.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to get a cab to get to the emergency room than get an
And
ambulance.
Exactly, right? And here they do the same thing. If you have a heart attack and you can't afford the ambulance and you take a cab, the cabbies will pick you up, but they literally, it's door to door. You got to be at the door and we'll drop you off at the door. And there was a fella, I only heard the story. I guess they got him to the hospital and he said, please roll me out of the cab. I can't get up. And the cabbie was all nervous about it. So he ran in. He said, I got a guy having a heart attack in the car. and out they ran. They got him and saved his life, right? And, it's like, wow. He just didn't want to touch him because, right? You can't really be sued in Canada. We have Good Samaritan laws. But there's always that risk somebody will try to nail you for it, right? So
That's same here. You can't be sued in Sweden no matter what.
no.
That's
It's
good.
not possible.
Yeah.
You can
Right.
smack somebody. And
I think it's time to go. I think our topic has definitely skipped off.
I'm getting super tired. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm getting a
Bubba's
little loopy
sleeping.
here too. So listen,
Yeah.
Tom, I'll be back on
Yeah.
later too. And Bubba, thanks for dropping in and keeping me company too.
yeah, no, it's
Have a
fun,
good
man.
day.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
or
And,
good
All
night.
right, guys. Have a good night. Have a
Sounds
good
good.
day, Tom. See
Night,
you in a
folks.
bit.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.